Elf I am the protagonist template. Invincible chapter 341 to 360. Chapter 341. The monsters that stand out. Division 2, the 7th node. Stop struggling. Under the power of my dragon, any resistance will be futile. In a burst of energetic but passionate female voice. On the field. Boom. The strange force that has always been known for its strength, but at this moment, under the claws of an upright dragon and beast wearing green armor and a pair of sharp teeth like an axe, he was pinned to the ground, unable to move at all. This is a two-axe dragon. Just by looking at it leisurely, you can tell that it is not serious at all. Elves do. Its trainer is no different. He even had some free time to desert during the game. With a carefree look, he turned his head, his palms made a trumpet, and shouted to another ring not far away. Xiao Huang, I'm about to finish the fight, if you continue to grind and chirp. I'll go to the top of the mountain to find that guy and tell him you have a crush on him. PFF'd, it was obvious to the naked eye, the face of the ponytail girl with a weak face instantly flushed red, and vaguely, it seemed that steam was rising. You. Anxious. But seeing the dark-skinned girl simply beat her opponent with O2, updated her position, and looked like she was about to run, she was in a hurry. Chucho. Accompanied by the tender drink, it was as if a warm wind blew across the arena. Next second, the galloping lightning flashed suddenly, and the female Pikachu with a small red flower pinned to her left ear dashed back several meters in an instant. After dodging a vine whip, he seemed to have completely changed into a mound. At a speed that is completely indistinguishable from the opponent, it slid close to the rear. A steel tail violently slammed into the flank of the wonderful frog flower, which couldn't react at all. With a bang, it shot it directly into the air, spanning dozens of meters, and smashed heavily on the rock wall at the edge of the arena, embedded in it. Spike. What? Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and the trainer of the wonderful frog flower didn't even react. It was obviously indistinguishable, no distinction was made. How could he lose in a blink of an eye? After a long time, like waking up from a nightmare, the man recovered from a shudder, and when he turned back, the two girls were nowhere to be seen. Win the championship. At only 24 years old, a quasi-celestial king, the famous genius trainer in Chengdu has a bitter corner of his mouth. It turned out to be a single blow. In the end, which big family force cultivated a monster? Ellipsis. Division 3, the 5th node. Intersection. A young man with brown hair and a spiky head leaned on the back of a wind-speed dog, folded his arms and closed his eyes. Come over for a while. One by one, it was like a red lightning flashed across. The whole body was covered with crimson armor, and the giant pincer mantis with two pairs of translucent worm wings on its back stopped in front of the boy. The right arm is stretched forward, in front of the breastplate. The boy then opened his eyes, took off the electronic watch on the right arm of the giant mantis, and glanced at the refreshed nodes on the screen. The 6th. Let's go. Yu Luo turned over to the dog, and walked towards the next node. Division 4, the 4th node. Fire-breathing dragon, dragon claw. Roar tilde. A fire-breathing dragon with a metal inverted triangle neck brace on the neck responded loudly under the command of a young man with a blue two-ended fried woolen scarf wrapped around his neck. It rushed forward like a high-speed train, and slammed the claws wrapped in bright green energy on the ears of an iron palm warrior. Then, with a twist, he actually grabbed the head of the iron palm warrior, threw him behind his back, and fell heavily on the ground. Moment. The referee who checked the state of the iron palms announced loudly, "The iron palms are incapacitated." The winner is Alan from the Carlos region. Division 5, between the 4th and 5th nodes. Field. In the jungle. Hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not a bad guy. To be precise, I was the one who rescued this little guy from a pack of wolf dogs just now. Surrounded by a group of pouched beasts, the hooded boy wearing a red jacket and yellow cropped trousers raised his hands in an attempt to calm the opponent's anger. At his feet, there is a purple kangaroo baby that is only knee-high and looks confused. However, simple words obviously could not calm the mood of this group of kangaroos. Seeing the other party getting closer, the hooded boy with a drop of cold sweat dripping from his forehead hurriedly rolled his eyes, gently kicked the pouch next to him with his foot, and reminded, "Hey, Taro, help me with a word." "Oh Tilda." The baby kangaroo tilted his head, thinking that the human who saved him was playing games with him again, and immediately learned what he was like before. He fell to the ground in a funny look, and rolled around. It looked like a poor little boy who had been beaten badly. Boy in windshield. I shouldn't play this game with it. 1_1 tilde as expected. The expression of the group of pouches suddenly changed. Ouch. In the roar of the leader of the bag beast with an empty stomach, all the bag beasts charged in the direction of the young man. Really? Faced with this, although the boy's face was distressed, he was not afraid. He picked up the puppet baby and said to the hot beast who was eager to try, "I'll leave it to you, Bakutaro, remember to tap lightly." The firestorm beast nodded silently and circled around the neck, the flame-like hair burst into flames, and the fighting intent just rose on its face. "Pyla, use hypnotic powder." A crisp voice suddenly sounded from behind. The hooded boy turned his head suddenly. Only 450 saw a girl in hot pants with a prominent, W-shaped blue hair standing on top of a big tree. And the mushroom spore-shaped pilast next to her quickly followed the instructions, releasing colorful powder and blowing it towards the pack of beasts. In an instant, a strong sleep-inducing effect acted on these pouched beasts. In no time, all fell to the ground under hypnosis. What a powerful hypnotic effect. The boy in the windproof cap was secretive, and he didn't blame the other party for being nosy. He raised a smile and said, "Thank you, my name is Ajin, from Rui Town in Chengdu, how about you?" "Huh." The girl seemed a little surprised. "My name is Crystal, you can call me Crystal, I was born in Rui Town tilde." Quote ellipsis. Huh, such a coincidence. There was no serious, Bai Zi, in Division 6, and Xiaoji and Xiaomao in Division 8 did not perform too prominently in comparison with the veteran geniuses in their respective divisions. And in Division 7. Soon, because of a trainer's shot, it instantly caused a sensation. And all eyes were focused on him alone. Chapter 342, Divine Beast Man. A battle without technology, seeking full order. This year's Silver Mountain Alliance Conference really gave all the audience a lot of surprises. Originally they thought, this extravagant event, which may or may not be held in the future, will be the stage for those young trainers who have been famous for a long time and have made their name in various regions. After all, no one would think that those rookie trainers who have only debuted for a year or two can completely ignore the accumulation of nearly 10 years and beat those veteran talents. The truth is simple, you are a genius. Those of them were in their youth, and who is not a genius? To know. Even Yulongdu, known as the Invincible Dragon Messenger, in Guandu, officially emerged in his 20s. Although he emerged as a star, he directly swept away many veteran Tianwang-level powerhouses in the next year's Tianwang Hegemony Tournament, successfully breaking the minimum age for the alliance to become a Tianwang, and the one who took office was the 4 Kanto kings who could be called monster groups, that's all. But Yulongdu is Yulongdu. He was born in the royal dragon family of the Guandu family, and others may not have the royal dragon family. In addition to his own talent, there is no shortage of various resources. Normal person. What do you compare to? However, the truth is such a truth, but sometimes, some people are born to break the cognition of the general public. 1. Division 2, Division 3, Division 4, Division 5. In most of the competition areas, there were performances that did not lose at all, and even crushed the old and talented young trainers, which made many spectators who stayed up late at the arena or in front of the screen hooked. After all, how can there be a sudden dark horse in an unchanging event? It would have felt like a worthwhile trip. But did not expect. Originally, there was no outstanding dark horse, and the number 7 division, where the footage gradually decreased, was a guy who did not perform particularly well. After being crushed by opponents 1-on-2. In the third battle, a legendary Pokemon was released. Time advances by half an hour. Division 7, the fourth node. Giant Marsh Monster, Split Tiles. Noisy Tilda. Following the order of the sturdy trainer, a giant marsh monster far exceeding the size of the same clan raised his knife and struck hard, slashing at the neck of a fiercely biting land shark. The strong force drove Lebite Blue Shark's body to fall to the ground, smashing the arena directly into a deep pit. Bite the land shark loses its ability to fight. Please let Dacto players release the third elf. The referee quickly went up to make a judgment and said, "This is a 3v3 battle. Although the elves released by this player named Dacto are very rare, a giant golden monster and a fierce bite land shark are all treasured elves with the title of quasi-god. But without exception, they all drink hatred under the giant swamp monster fist of the opponent in front of them. Even, it failed to cause too effective damage and counterattack. Tisk tisk, quasi-god, this guy's family affairs are definitely not ordinary, but I didn't expect it to be so wasteful. Who says it's not? All the orders are direct attacks. I even suspect that these two quasi-gods were not cultivated by him. So what? It's not that people have no temper at all. Many onlookers were talking about it. And these harsh words made Dactuo, who has long gray-blue hair, look more gloomy. Ordinary elves really have limits. He expressionlessly retracted the unconscious Lebite Blue Shark, muttering to himself, and soon, he took out a unique-looking elf ball from his waist. Purple, the letter M, the compound eye decoration. This is a master ball. And as he threw the master ball, the light shines. A strange figure like the fusion of Ghostfire and Rags appeared on the battle arena. Darkrai. The voice of the famous host Caesar, who acted as a commentator, was transmitted to the venue, the competition area, and every household watching the game through the sound. Or, maybe someone doesn't know. Caesar's voice trembled slightly. The third elf released by Dacto is not an ordinary elf, but a legendary treasure known as the Nightmare God. Dream, Darkrai, the legendary Pokemon, was silent for a moment. Next second. Wow, the venue, and even all the trainers who were concerned about the event, and even ordinary people, were instantly stunned, and then, there was an uproar. Too outrageous. There is actually a trainer of the legendary elves of the Imperial Envoy. As this guy called Dacto. From Shanao, it's okay to have two quasi-gods. Now even the legendary elves have been released. I'm afraid it's not the son of the president of the Alliance. Grandson. Can Roger survive it? I'm afraid it's very difficult. Although Roger is the most outstanding young trainer in our Fangyuan in recent years, in the face of legends. Everyone was talking about it. And this time, it didn't go beyond what most people expected. Although it is still a non-technical, dry instruction. But this legendary elf Darkrai, known as the Nightmare God, easily disintegrated Roger's 3 elves with a 100% hit black hole plus dream-eating trick, and completed the reversal and sweep. And that is the beginning of the evening of this day of Lee's. Legendary Pokemon Trainer, Divine Beast Man Dacto, and Nightmare God Daclay. These 3 hot words have made it to the top 3 hot searches on the local elf network in Kanto. Stay high. Next. Almost everyone's attention was on Dacto's body. And in the next schedule and battle. Relying on Darkrai, Dacto swept all the way, and almost came from behind, becoming the 3rd trainer to arrive at the Silver Mountain venue after Alice and Xiao Huang. Time flies. This qualifier is coming to an end. Chapter 343. At the last moment, the seriously injured Zeraora. Time, 8:30 a.m. on October 16th. There is only half an hour left until the end of the qualifiers. The league's qualifier time is actually very abundant. This point in time, the contestants have either completed the challenges of all nodes and reached the Silver Mountain, or they have withdrawn from the competition earlier. But this time, this is only half an hour before the end of the preliminaries. There is also a player who has not been eliminated, and has not reached the endpoint after all nodes so far. What the hell is going on? That guy, shouldn't he fall in a place like this? In front of the gate at the entrance of the venue, Qinglu, who closed his eyes and pondered, finally couldn't help it. He opened his eyes and spoke first with a slightly irritable tone. This stage. This is the stage he has been looking forward to for a long time. If that guy is really missing, even if he reaches the top, it will not make him feel happy at all. You think so too, don't you? Red. Subconsciously turning his eyes to the side, dressed in a red and white trainer suit, the Crimson standing silently seemed to notice the green eyes. He didn't respond, he just pulled down the brim of his hat and covered Shen Ning's red eyes. But how can I not feel that Qinglu, who has been playing since childhood, is a rival who is not good at 450 words, and it is almost obvious to him that the low pressure. No. At this moment, some fierce tone suddenly loudly retorted, Brother Baizi will never fall here. Qinglu turned her head. Simple dress and pure face, with a golden ponytail. Qinglu remembers that this girl who is younger than him is called Xiao Huang. The identity seems to be Baizi's. Fangirl. Green can't remember clearly. Although his memory has always been good, from childhood to adulthood, there are only good enough guys who can make him look at him differently, or who can be seen by him. The reason why this little girl named Xiao Huang was able to leave him a little memory. It was mainly a piece of news that he learned from his grandfather before. It seems that it is a trainer named under the name of Junxin Town. Little Yellow. Alice clenched the palm of her best friend's hand with some worry. After being with her for several months, she didn't know what the position of Baizi, who had never seen before, but was already, like thunder, in the heart of the other party. Even the motivation to stand in this arena is because of that guy called Baizi. Hello Tilda. As if thinking of something, Alice suddenly turned her head and said to the trio of Ash who were whispering together, That stupid guy, aren't you from the same competition area as Baizi? Do you have any information? Ji looked left, looked right, pointed to herself, and saw Alice nodding, only then did she determine that the stupid guy was calling herself. Where am I stupid? He murmured, but he answered honestly, Brother Baizi has always been ahead of me. I remember seeing his name on the promotion list when I finished the last node. Say, is Brother Baizi the last node challenge completed before you? Xiao Mao, who was beside him, immediately asked with determination. Yeah, Xiao Ji nodded. When several people heard the words, they became even more confused. After the last node is completed, there is only a stone ladder of no more than 1,000 meters left. You can get lost while walking, right? Doubt in mind. Seeing that the time was getting shorter and shorter, Xiao Huang finally couldn't bear it any longer. Come out, Archaeopteryx. Just take out the pokeball and release a colorful feathered bird and beast. Xiao Huang will jump up and go down the mountain to find Baizi. For her, this game is just a test to prove that she can stand in front of the opponent. But if the object of proof is not there, ACBH, this game means absolutely nothing to her. Little Yellow. Alice looked anxious, but she didn't know how to stop Xiao Huang for a while. The red and green on the side turned their attention to the Archaeopteryx beside Xiao Huang at almost the same time. Such a strong predator. The thought flashed across the red and green minds at the same time. And Qinglu, for the first time, also looked squarely at this girl who looked soft and weak, and was named a trainer in Junxin Town. Step, step, step one by one, the sound of crisp footsteps suddenly came at this time. Everyone subconsciously turned their attention to the direction of the sound. Next second, a slightly tired familiar figure appeared from the corner, facing the rising sun, dragging a long shadow and stepping into the towering huge stone gate. One by one electronic sound. It means that he successfully completed the challenge of the qualifiers at the last minute. Open black lens bracket 8 hours 59 minutes and 55 seconds close black lens bracket _______. Open black lens bracket 56. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 57. Close black lens bracket. I looked at the huge clock hanging from the main entrance above the hall behind the stone gate. Looks like the time is just right. With a light smile at the corner of Bai Zi's mouth, he took his eyes back and waved to the boys and girls who looked at him with different expressions not far away. Yo tilde. Next second. Boom, a long bell sounded from the inside of the venue. From the internal measurement of shim to the hall and both sides of the venue, rows of virtual lights and shadows instantly lit up. This is the makeup photo of the trainer who was successfully selected in the qualifiers. On the left side of the gate of the venue, the first virtual image almost in front of Bai Zi's eyes was himself. Open black lens bracket 200 close black lens bracket. This is the number above his image, which also represents his qualifying ranking. The 200th. It's really a lot. With a casual smile, Bai Zi didn't care about this ranking at all. After all, the real battle has just begun. And his purpose has been achieved. Yes. After spending 24 hours, and at the cost of completely scrapping a priceless power core spar, Zeraora has finally completed another leap in strength. Zeraora, Champion Elementary, Level 70, 0/100ths, seriously injured, recovering. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 344, The Opening Match, Bai Zi vs Dacto. Brother Bai Zi. With an exclamation, Bai Zi only felt the fragrance blowing towards his face, and the next second, a petite figure rushed into his arms. Long time no see, Xiao Huang. Bai Zi was slightly stunned, and casually rubbed the little head buried in his arms. Tilda chuckled. Hem. A muffled voice came from his arms. Immediately, as if he noticed something, Xiao Huang quickly got out of Bai Zi's arms, looked at Bai Zi with shy and pure eyes, and quickly averted his eyes in shame. Fool. Alice on the side rolled her eyes suddenly, and said if she liked it. What's the use of secret love? However, this guy, he seems to be very cool. The scorching flames of war flashed in Alice's eyes, trying to suppress the urge to challenge directly. Not only this guy, but Xiao Huang, and... Alice swept her eyes across the red and green, and the corner of her mouth subconsciously evoked a tyrannical grin like a dragon. This trip is really the right time. Huh. Qinglu, who was about to leave immediately, suddenly stopped, and swept past Alice's body with his peripheral vision as if he had noticed something. The prototype of the situation. Really, it's getting more and more interesting. With a flash of light in his eyes, Qinglu walked directly towards the venue with a more and more arbitrary smile. Crimson pressed down on the brim of her hat, her eyes and Bai Zi were closed in midair, and she just turned and left without saying a word. Behind him, Pikachu, who was stabbed with tiny electric lights on both sides of his cheeks, looked at Bai Zi's waist and the open space beside him. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand on his neck and made a throat-cutting motion, and then turned around and chased after the faraway crimson. Seeing this, Bai Zi suddenly burst into laughter. After a while, when there was a voice on the broadcast calling the contestants to go to the corresponding reception hall for the preliminary draw, Bai Zetsai bid farewell to the reluctant Xiao Huang and Alice. Brother Bai Zi, see you on the field. Xiaoji also pulled Xiaogang and Xiaosha away with a slap in the face. Until this time, a little Mao who was hiding in the corner stepped forward. Brother Bai Zi, thank you. Also, in this game, I will let you see my growth. Okay. Looking at Xiao Mao, who was much calmer, Bai Zi showed a sincere smile and stretched out his fist. I'm looking forward to it. Hey Tilda. Xiao Mao's composure broke for a second, rubbed his nose, and punched Bai Zi. Brother Bai Zi, please look forward to it. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand vigorously and strode towards the venue. This kid. Bai Zi lightly smiled and shook his head. Although in front of a guy like Crimson, Green, and Green, he seems to have no sense of existence. But it can be seen from Xiao Mao's imposing aura. Since the last time he left in Lamperkey, Xiao Mao has gained considerable experience and growth. And compared to it, This guy, Xiaoji, was hit on the same day, but up to now, he has not seen any changes at all. Forget it. Baizi didn't think about what was there or not, but turned his head and said to the air around him, "It seems that you have been discovered, Zoroark." The words fell. Next second, Zoroark's figure emerged from the air, his eyes dignified, and immediately, without a word, he returned to the dynamic of the red Pikachu in the Pokeball just now, clearly discovering Zoroark who was hiding beside him. At this point, for Zoroark, it was a big blow. Because this is the first time that someone other than a few elves under Baizi's command has so easily penetrated its illusionary disguise. To know. Today, it has been able to deceive electronic images to the extent that it is a mere yellow-skinned mouse. Baizi felt Zoroark's little emotion. However, in his view, this is not a bad thing. Now, Zoroark's development and excavation of hallucination properties also seems to have entered a bottleneck period. As the so-called no shame and then brave. Maybe after this incident, Zoroark will make another breakthrough on the Phantom way. It's better to reach it as soon as possible, and even surpass the ability of the 5th Division Captain in Reaper, the Zanpakuto, Hyoka Suzuki, of Yusu Kaisen. Time flies. After Baizi finished the selection of the battle cards for the preliminary round, and reported the safety to Mei and Lusha Manai who were in the main venue, he went to the individual players' room assigned to him without stopping, and called out auspicious eggs to the already basic players. The healed Zeraora will do follow-up conditioning. After all these things have been dealt with, the time has come to 2:30 p.m. After simply dealing with a late brunch, Baizi has time to surf the internet and check the list of preliminary matches that should have come out. There is no doubt that today's Genie.com has been completely swept away by the same thing. Open 2 entries at will. Click on the official video report. In the picture, a shadowy body, the face is constantly surging like a white mist, and the neck is wrapped in a red scarf, revealing only a one-eyed humanoid ghost body. 0. Ask for flowers. With the trend of pulling dry and destroying the rot, he overturned the 3 main forces of a trainer who was obviously not weak. Without exception, all of them were taken away by a wave of black holes plus eating dreams. Darkrai. In front of the computer, Baizi, who recognized the identity of the elf, turned his attention to the Darkrai trainer as the screen turned. Gray-blue long hair, red robe, half-covered yin-looking face. As this guy, the divine beast Mandacto. Baizi touched his chin, his eyes were meaningful. Did you even attract this guy? The divine beast Mandacto. This is only Guhao and Ilan, the third guy who is remembered. I won't say anything about the dog who has already experienced the wonderful life of the mouse. If Ilan is there, it will be very interesting. Zero smiled casually, but Baizi didn't take it to heart. Open the exclusive page of Silver Mountain Alliance Conference. Enter your own serial number. Immediately, a secondary page marked with the competition sequence popped up from the screen. Open black lens bracket A-101 close black lens bracket. The first venue in the first round of Group A. Wait. Opening game. Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly. There are 200 people in the preliminary round, divided into A, B, C, D. To H, there are 8 groups with 25 people in each group. When the top 4 of each group are determined, the total 32 people will go to the central venue for this competition. Before that, the games were basically placed in the simple arena outside the central stadium. There is only one exception. That is the opening game as a warm-up. This game will be held in advance at the central venue before all the preliminary rounds. Generally speaking, for the sake of attention, there will be more controversial and interesting opponents. Watch. Baizi has a vague guess. To say that the most eye-catching player in this conference is undoubtedly only one person. Mouse click. Next second. Sure enough. Under the blue light of the screen, Baizi's eyes flashed with clarity. A first round. Opener, Yi Baizi vs Dacto. Interesting. A few Chapter 345, A Foil. The only condition that can be achieved. Before evening. The news of the roster for the first opening game quickly spread to several regions including Kanto. Such a speed of dissemination is entirely due to Dacto, the trainer of the legendary elf who was revealed to everyone for the first time. Many good people, mainly the residents and trainers of the Sheno area, are honored. I can't wait to say that Dakota has nothing in the sky, nothing on earth. What is the man of the gods? What is the messenger of nightmares? What is the legendary leader of the future? All kinds of bizarre titles are dazzling. At time. This contest hosted by the Kanto Alliance attracted a large number of Shinao netizens to come over the wall. At the same time, because there is no way to find out the specific origin of Dakoto, I only know that he is a registered trainer of the Shinao Alliance, so there are good people, are fans of Dakoto, and he pressed a hidden button for him. The noble son of the world's name is 450 inches. All in all, thanks to the popularity of the explosion of Dakota, the already good popularity of the Silver Mountain Alliance Conference has also surged again. It can almost be said that it is not too much to compare with the top world-class events. Same as the protagonist, this time, the opponent of Dakto's opening match, Baizi, also came out a little. Of course, not a good reputation. His performance and actions in the qualifiers were also picked up by those netizens who seemed to be fine. The championship declaration arrived at the main venue at the last moment of danger, and finished the qualifiers with the last place. Comparing the two, this is simply an example of two poles. A rookie trainer who speaks wild words, but disappears in the crowd, barely finishing the preliminaries. And another. It is the first time in recent years that he has been exposed to the public, hidden from the world, and a blockbuster legendary trainer. It can be said. Totally heaven and earth. Almost everyone has concluded that this is a game whose ending is known before it even begins. And this result is known. Game. What they want to watch is only the appearance of the nightmare god Darkrai in the hands of Dakto. Most discuss whether there are any other legendary elves in Dakoto's hands. Most people think no. After all, it is said that the elf is a precious Pokemon that is even more difficult to meet than a quasi-god. It is a fluke to get one, and no one will believe that someone can conquer multiple legends. Of course, this does not prevent netizens from enjoying it. As for Baizi, in the minds of most people, it's just a background board that acts as a foil for Dakoto. Ellipsis. At the same time. West End. In room 003 on the top floor. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, Dakto held a glass of red wine and jumped at the vast night view of Bayan Mountain below. On the low table at his feet, the laptop screen in operation glowed blue. I have read all the information on the internet. Have to say, this feels good. Growing up in a nearly closed environment for a long time, facing the world of flowers for the first time, countless people sought after and praised him, all of which made him intoxicated. A Darkrai surprises you so much. There was an obvious sense of superiority in Dakto's voice, shaking the glass lightly and taking a sip. If I have more. Ding dong tilde, a crisp sound interrupted Dakto's words. Is it coming? He immediately turned his head and put down the wine glass, and came to an indoor teleportation device in the corner. Boom 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 boom. With the continuous flashing of the indicator lights, several specially made gray iron-shaped elf balls rolled out from the entrance of the machine. On the other side, the top of Silver Mountain. A group of Alliance staff headed by the Ice King Kona, one of the four kings of Kanto, waited quietly on the high platform of the brightly lit square. Soon. Phew, phew, with a screech of air, a tiny black dot galloped along with the moonlight. The speed of the black spot is very fast. People have only just discovered its image. Next second, the strong wind whistled, carrying a ring of air around it. Wait for the energy to dissipate. In the center of the square, surrounded by the crowd, a strong-bodied, fierce-biting loose shark with an astonishing sense of oppression stood proudly. The body size is far more than 2 meters, at least one head taller than the normal fierce bite land shark. It had no gaps in its dorsal fin and was apparently a female stinging land shark. And this body is far superior to its peers, and the fierce bite land shark is full of amazing oppression and bends slightly. Immediately after, Pa-tilda accompanied by the crisp sound of high-heeled shoes stepping on, a gorgeous black robe with amazing charm, a blonde woman with a strong sense of presence jumped off the back of biting land shark. This sense of presence, even the fierce biting loose shark beside him, is faintly dwarfed. Welcome, Champion Sharona. Kona stepped forward first, stretched out his right hand politely, his eyes wandered around Sharona, feeling the potential that gradually spread out and blessed bite loose shark, chuckled. I didn't expect Sharona the champion will come overnight, and even use the mo in order to hurry. It seems that he is very interested in the rising stars of your Shanao region. You are welcome, King Kona. Sharona reached out her hand to return grip, and the two parted at one touch. Afterwards, the originally inspiring Shanao champion suddenly tilted his head, and his expression completely contradicted her royal sister's temperament. Take the news for a moment. This. Sharona shook her head, and then, with one hand around her waist and one hand on her chin, she just stood there and pondered. He immediately gave people an intellectual and literary atmosphere. Moment. Sharona raised her head and said seriously, well, I'm sure, I really don't know. Kona. What's going on with this goddess? The aura is volatile, sometimes awe-inspiring, sometimes cute, and sometimes intellectual. It's like having multiple personalities. Forget it. Kona shook his head, since Champion Sharona doesn't want to say. No tilde. The charismatic blonde girl shook her fingers, took out an incubator with blue spotted elf eggs from the back of Blue Shark, and lifted it up. I am indeed because of someone, but it's not a rising star of Shanao. But a promise. 1.7 At this moment, a dazzling smile bloomed on Sharona's face. This elf egg is the gift I brought him. This is not. Kona frowned slightly, but halfway through the conversation, the words, are there prizes for the top 3, could no longer be asked. Because, from Sharona's eyes at this time, she saw an incomparable certainty. And want to get 100% as one of the top 3 prizes in this competition, this champion's parental elf egg provided by Hyrna herself. Then there is only one condition. A champion. P.S. Sharona's wife Tilda. Chapter 346, Nightmare God. It's just a fake. Elvish year 359, October 17th. 10 o'clock in the morning. View accompanied by colorful fireworks in the form of Pokemon, the Silver Venue, this huge and quaint arena that can accommodate tens of thousands of people, is full of seats at this time. And the warm cheers turned into a sky-high sound, resounding through the sky. The incident unfolded overnight. At this moment. At the scene, obviously there is no need for any hype. Because the atmosphere is already warm enough. It can be compared to the hottest one in recent years, the World League Championship Tournament, that established the uncrowned king of Yulongdu. Kona, one of the 4 local kings in Kanto, Sharona, the current Shanao champion, and Dr. Ogi, also attended the competition as guests. Let the atmosphere of the scene, once again warm 3 points. After all, any champion of the 4 heavenly kings is an undisputed top class in the world of elves. And Dr. Damu is a household name and a legendary figure written into textbooks. 10:30. Dong, the bell of the game is officially tolling. As a well-known commentator, Caesar appeared again. He stepped on his royal car and exploded the magnetic monster, and came to the sky above the center of the venue. Oh 2. At this moment, Caesar's mood is actually not good. As a professional commentator, there should not be any bias, and his professionalism will not make his commentary biased. But as a native of Kanto, I'm about to witness and explain a game where outsiders bully my own family, and I will not feel too comfortable. Welcome everyone to the opening game of the Silver Mountain Alliance Conference. I'm your old friend Caesar. In midair, Caesar, who was not in a good mood, cheered up and started the announcement with a passionate tone. The sound spread throughout the arena through the microphone in his hand. Not much gossip. I believe that this opening match is what many people have been looking forward to for a long time, then. Quote, comma, exclamation mark. 8.5, 6, 1, 0, 9, 7.8 inches, 2 feet. Opening square bracket dot. Ling, long. Let's invite the Dacto players from Shanao, and from Guan. Caesar's words were not finished. Wow. The violent noise and shouting had completely overshadowed his next words about Baizi. And with the stage of the Dakota speed limit. The thunderous applause and the cries of Dakato that have gradually gathered together have left the venue without a trace of reverberation. This. Caesar frowned. The worship of the strong in the elf world has existed since ancient times. At this moment, Dakato, with the high popularity gained as a legendary trainer, abruptly turned this opening match into his home court. Originally, the other players' gods were not high, and now facing such an away battle, I am afraid it will be even more difficult. With this thought in mind, Caesar turned his worried eyes to the other side. But the next moment, he was stunned. Silver hair, black clothes. The handsome boy did not know when he had already stood on the battle podium, standing silently, playing with a pokeball with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. The frenetic and noisy atmosphere around him seemed completely unable to affect him at all. A movement and a stillness are like being divided into two parallel worlds. At this moment, the young man seemed to have noticed his gaze, and suddenly raised his head. The bright, but hazy blue eyes showed a smile, and nodded slightly towards him. Caesar's subconscious salute, and then suddenly. But next second. It was as if the annoyance in my heart was instantly relieved, and somehow, I had a thought that even I was a little startled. Can win. Even if the opponent is a trainer with a legendary elves, the final winner will definitely be this boy. At this time, the cheers gradually subsided. The commentator, Caesar, who also acted as the referee, also returned to the high platform at the edge of the audience in the self-exploding magneto. Immediately on the big screen, the fixed makeup photos of Baizi and Dacto, as well as the shadows of the 3 Pokeballs under their respective names, appeared. The opening match is 3v3. Then, the ground trembled slightly. Between Baizi and Dacto, who are hundreds of meters apart, a huge metal disc is cut open. There are mountains and water on one side, and a field with lush trees slowly rises. It is a forest field. Please confirm the battle spirit for both parties. Caesar, who acted as the referee, then opened his mouth to remind, and after both sides took a Pokeball and held it in their hands, he suddenly waved the flag and shouted, "Then, the game. Start." The whistle sounded all over the field. With one hand in his pocket, Dacto, who looked relaxed and freehand, took the lead in throwing the Pokeball, and in the black mist, Dacly revealed his figure. The place was noisy again. Baizi habitually glanced away. Huh. Suddenly, the data panel displayed in his eyes made him, who was about to lose the ball, suddenly raise his eyebrows. Race, Darkrai clone. Attribute, evil. Characteristic, nightmare exclusive. Inflict damage to the opponent in the sleeping state. Level, Elementary King of Heaven, level 60, 0/100. Potential, none. HP, 70, attack, 90, defense, 90, special attack, 135, special defense, 90, speed, 125. Exclusive move, Black Hole. Skills, Strange Wind, Immobilization, Lightning Flash, Hypnosis, Surprising Strike, Nightmare, Shadow Clone, Black Mist, Trick, Dream Eater, Evil Wave. Status, Origin missing. Introduction. The biological weapon produced by the reproduction and ripening of the Darkrai gene mined in the ancient battlefield has no thinking, weak intelligence, and has a lifespan of less than 5 years. Re-engraving, ripening. So it's just a fake. While muttering to himself, Baizi's eyes suddenly darkened. Next second, his breathtaking gaze pierced Dakdo's direction. The ultimate blue 450 colored ball in his hand was immediately thrown straight out. You don't need to keep Philomelis, this time, I'm going to leave a deep impression on him. Oh sauce tilde. After Philomelis appeared, he let out a gentle low cry at Baizi, his eyes curved into crescent moons. The humanoid body is slender and slender, wrapped like a skirt's coat tissue, and it is slim, fully revealing the excellent temperament of Philomelody. She is beautiful and has a natural charm. Let this charm be infinitely magnified. The extremely noisy arena suddenly became silent. So people were fascinated by this fascination. Next second, Pheromero stood upright, and aimed his gloomy eyes on Dakdo, who was also charmed behind, darkly. It was this person who made Baizi unhappy. This was full of savage and pure killing intent, which made Dakdo suddenly shudder and wake up from the state of charm. What kind of ghost is this? Cold sweat broke out. Even more embarrassed, Dakdo's face suddenly sank, and he took the lead in launching a rush attack. Darkly, use the black hole. Chapter 347. Pure physical strength, in an instant. With the order of Dakdo, Dakli's hands suddenly raised their hands high, and quickly created a pitch-black energy ball, and threw it in the direction of Pherombe. This sphere of pure evil energy disappeared into the void instantly after it escaped from Darkrai's hands. Next second, a pitch-black hole suddenly appeared from the foot of the Pherombe. Just like a huge mouth of an abyss, it directly engulfed the slender white figure, and was imprisoned in a pitch-black translucent sphere. No. Almost subconsciously, almost everyone present exclaimed in unison, and the huge sound seemed to shake the air. The corners of Dakdo's mouth twitched. These guys, obviously they were fanatical fans before, but now, they rebelled so easily. But then, there was another sense of relief in Dakota's heart. This is the inferiority of human beings. What's more, he is not a generous guy at all, and he has no sympathy for this unknown elf who stole his limelight and showed his murderous intentions. Therefore, Darklay, eat the dream. Black Hole plus Dream Eater, this is a set of combos. It uses the effect of the instant sleep suppression of Darkrai's exclusive trick, Black Hole, and then applies Dream Eater to drain the opponent's mental energy. If the level difference is not big, and the opponent's willpower is not firm enough, it can almost be said to be a set of kill combinations that can directly take the opponent away. And at the next moment when Dakdo ordered, Woo tilde, the whistling sound like a specter came out from Darkrai's body, and immediately, a purple phantom rushed out of its body, penetrating the black translucent sphere composed of black hole skills in an instant, and swept past. I won. But just as the corners of Dakdo's mouth were about to rise. Pop! Like a bubble bursting. The pitch-black translucent energy sphere instantly shattered and dissipated, but inside it, the figure of Pherometis, who had lost the ability to fight, did not appear inside it, as Dakdo had expected. Rather, nothing. How is this possible? Duck's eyes widened, and he, who was not an outstanding trainer, seemed to be in a state of astonishment after the 3 axes. Without Dakdo's instructions, Daklay also hovered in the air like a ghost. Until, wow sauce tilde. Like a teleportation, the slender and white figure of Pheromerod suddenly appeared behind Darkrai, and his slender, bamboo-like right leg was raised and split, and it continued to split like a sharp blade. Swish, the terrifying downward slashing speed seemed to make the air tremble, and a violent scream followed. In an instant, Darkrai's entire body seemed to be adrift, and bounced off the ground of the forest, smashing the trees along the way and smashing the ground. With a phantom-like speed and impact, it smashed straight in the direction of Dakdo. Bang! Hum! The dull impact sound was accompanied by the humming sound of the energy protection device in the arena that was impacted. The light red, honeycomb-shaped energy shield suddenly appeared in front of Dakdo's eyes, blocking the galloping Darkrai's body. The swept gust of wind turned into a tornado, and Darkrai, who had lost consciousness and was overflowing with black energy, flew straight away like a leaking doll. And then, Kacha, in the crisp sound, an obvious crack appeared on the energy shield that was close to Dakto. Gudong tilde. Daktuo, whose pupils were constricted, swallowed a mouthful of spit, and a chill surged up, causing him to lean back subconsciously, and fell to the ground in embarrassment. The entire venue was silent. From the appearance of this charming elf, to Clay's shot, to the opponent's counterattack, which knocked Clay out in seconds, all this happened too fast. It's almost like they haven't responded yet. It's almost that they haven't even calmed down their worries, and they haven't even had time to be shocked. Everything, it's over. That one just now was just a simple cheating, right? In the guest observation room, Kara said hesitantly, she could not see it wrong with her eyesight, but it was because of this that she seemed a little unbelievable. To know. The safety devices and specifications of the Baiyinshan venue are configured according to the level of the Tianwang Hegemony tournament. It can ignore the aftermath of the Tianwang level battle and effectively resist the impact of champion strength skills in a short period of time. And the energy shield generated by this level of security protection device almost couldn't withstand a pure body attack from an elf that did not carry the slightest attribute energy. This is so. Could it be that this elf is a champion? Even, beyond the championship field? Well, it shouldn't be a skill, it's pure physical strength. Dr. Ogi also gave a positive answer. As he said that, he touched his chin and said with a sigh, speed, strength. In terms of physical fitness, it is almost completely comparable to the elves in the championship field. Quote ellipsis. Sharona's beautiful eyes flowed, but she didn't speak. For a while, the three people with different thoughts in the observation room fell into an inexplicable silence. And until now. The audience at the scene just woke up like a dream, and suddenly there was a loud noise, and the netizens who were watching remotely through the live broadcast also exploded in an instant. Fuck. What's the situation? I shook my head, and in a blink of an eye, it was over. Me too, I really just blinked. Same as above, I was just about to shout out because of Darkrai's sneak attack, but in the blink of an eye, swish, swish, Darkrai was killed. This, swish swish, is very vivid, Doghead JPG. It's not me who said, this Dakoto, and his nightmare god is really enough. Before the war, it was hyped up, but this is the end. It's also big enough by Z. This is called a boss. It should be called Dad, funny. Oh, by the way, the elf of Big Brother by Z's name is Faye. What is Feish, is it Lee's? Pherometis. Okay. Now I announce that Philomero is my new wife from now on. Your wife is so beautiful. Your wife is so beautiful. +1 inch your wife is so beautiful. +2. Your wife is so beautiful. +10,086. And more. Ignore the heated discussions online. At this moment, the Silver Mountain venue. Standing still, Baizi completely ignored the sudden changes in the atmosphere and the voice of discussion above the venue. The voice came out indifferently through the loudspeaker device on the battle podium. Next. P.S. Kona tilde. Chapter 348. One wears 3, the eternal winner. Baizi's words also reminded Caesar, who was the referee, and hurriedly announced loudly, Darklay is incapacitated, please release the second participating elves. I don't know if it was an illusion. Baizi always felt that there was an obvious sense of excitement in his voice. Damn. On the other side, Daktuo, who got up from the ground, looked gloomy, fell from heaven to hell, was directly killed by the other party, and was so frightened to the ground. To be honest, such a huge gap and humiliation made him almost mad. If it weren't for the attention of everyone, Dakto even had the idea of despite everything and directly calling the elves to attack the opponent's trainer. But no. It's not just reason that's holding him back. The almost crushing battle just now also made Duck understand the strength of the opponent. With just one blow, he killed his own Darkrai in one blow. This is one of the re-engraved legends with the best genetic stability at this stage that has reached the realm of Tianwang. The other guys. I'm afraid it won't be that guy's opponent. Where the hell did this shit come from? The re-engraved legend of the king level, can't even take a single blow. Dacdo growled inwardly. But under the repeated urging of the referee, he had to restrain his thoughts and release the second elf. Come on, Latios, use the cleansing light. Oh tilde. In the lifeless hissing sound, Latios turned his indifferent gaze at the pheromone who was dancing and picking vegetables and leaves in the forest. The upper body stood upright, and in front of the water droplet-shaped pattern on its forehead, 3 dark spherical energy burst out, rapidly twisting and expanding in midair, turning into a spiral 463 ray, and hitting directly in the direction of the pheromite. In a flash, he rushed to the side of Pheromeroch. In the face of Latios' attack, Baizi didn't care, and even had time to look at this dragon, super dual-line legend of the same race as the water gods. Bird-like, jet-like wings and fin-like tail feet make it look like a small blue plane. Latios and its female counterpart, Latias, both have the title of Infinite Dragon God, and are classified as infinite Pokémon on the Pokédex. Speak up. Latios and Latias are both rare and mega-evolved beings among the legendary elves. It is good at flying, can be invisible, and has the protective ability of superpower attributes. To be honest, this is the best flying mount in Baizi's mind. And their unique ability is the ability to show each other with images of what they see and think, and they are also good at reconnaissance. But the Latios in front of him is, without a doubt, another legendary clone with a genetic re-enactment. Latios clone, the origin is missing, the first level of the king. And the other side. Facing the spiral ray that was close at hand, with his back facing the attack, the Philomelody who was preparing something suddenly slashed backwards with his bare hands. The void is awe-inspiring. The atmosphere seems to have pulled out a crescent-like piece of training, directly smashing the ray of light that rushes to the shortcut. And without losing his momentum, he crossed hundreds of meters in the blink of an eye and slammed directly on La Acbh Dios. Oh tilde. With a deep cry of pain, Latios was directly knocked out. Bang! Its energy even continued to push the opponent's body, hitting it heavily on the honeycomb-shaped energy shield that reappeared on the edge of the field, and then gradually dissipated. Latios's eyes turned white, foaming at the mouth, and his body twitched slightly and slowly slipped down from the energy shield, as if he had lost his ability to fight, and passed out. Instant kill. Wow sauce tilde. Philomelis glanced casually, and then stopped paying attention to it, and continued to work in the center of the forest grounds, taking care of herself. The venue was silent again. In front of the podium. Looking at the energy shield that was split open again and slowly healed in front of him, Dacdo, who took Latios back, was frowning. Intentional. This is definitely intentional, right? Back to attacking in his direction, so blatantly intimidating. This guy, are you sure he is a regular Alliance trainer? And also, what the hell is this elf in front of him? Just with a simple physique, he can kill a legendary elf who has set foot in the realm of the king, and he won't say anything. But what is the situation now? Even the vigor swung with his bare hands can instantly kill Latios, who is not weak at all in Darkrai. I'm still hitting a hammer at this NM. Dakatuo's mentality was really broken, his palms trembled slightly, and he grabbed for a long time before the third elf was lined up. Not too much beyond Baizi's expectations. This is still a replica of a lower-ranking legend who has set foot in the realm of the king. The Sidolane, known as the god of fire and steel. With the steel attribute, Sidoran is the one with the most outstanding defense among the 3 legendary replicas. But in the face of a huge power gap, Sidoran's exit was even more straightforward than Darkrai and Latios. Because this time, Pheromero, who seemed to have completed the task at hand, took the initiative to launch an attack, and the next moment Sidorlane appeared, he suddenly attacked. His long legs were raised high, his eyes were cold, and he stabbed straight into the empty space on the left side of Sidorlane. Is it crooked? The thought just arose. Next second. In the suspicious eyes of everyone. Shoo! An extremely sharp air-breaking sound suddenly erupted, and many spectators near the stadium couldn't help but sink their heads, and a strong sense of dizziness and discomfort suddenly came. In an instant, it was like a stress response. The honeycomb-shaped energy shield that served as a safety device in the venue burst into a dazzling light. Snapped. Boom. But then, the thick energy shield shattered instantly, and the energy fragments flew, followed by a violent roar, soaring smoke and wind pressure. The entire arena seems to have ushered in the epicenter of the earthquake of magnitude 7 or 8, and it began to spread from the battlefield to all directions. Many spectators and staff at the scene were overturned on the spot. Almost most of the audience were like rolling gourds, rolling around in the violent wind pressure, vibration, and smoke, and they were so dizzy that they couldn't find the north at all. Lucario, waveguide protection. Miss Lips, mind power. At this moment, 2 coquettish shouts sounded, which calmed down a lot of the panic-stricken spectators. The bright blue semicircular waveguide covered the entire arena that had lost its energy shield, and everyone in the auditorium lifted it up with a slightly lighter psychic force. It's Lucario, the champion of Hyarna, and the lip-smacking sister of King Kona. Even so, although no one was injured, they were all disgraced at this time. And wait for the smoke to clear up. The scene in the venue was finally revealed in front of everyone's eyes. In the second half of the forest venue, near the direction of Dacto, the entire ground was completely lifted, and the long ravine directly extended to the direction of the battle command platform. And the battle podium made of superalloy and the players' tunnel behind it are like being penetrated by a huge javelin, leaving only huge holes with smooth cross-sections and opposite pairs. Hush. One by one. Everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. If their memory was not wrong, it was just a volley poking at the foot that caused such a scene. The venue suddenly fell silent. And the next second, fanatical cheers and applause resounded throughout the venue like thunder. As for Sidoran, who was rolled into the corner by the aftermath, and Dacto, who was unfortunately affected by the innocence, and buried in the earth. At this point, no one paid attention at all. Since ancient times, only the winners deserve to enjoy applause, flowers and honors, and the losers have to retire sadly. That's why I never want to be a loser. Baizi glanced at Dacto's direction, took the bracelet made by Philomelody, rubbed the other side's small head bent close, turned around, and walked towards the corridor behind him. Moment. The passionate referee's voice came from behind. Dacto players all lost. The final winner of this opening match is Baizi player from Junshin Town. 1 by 1. After a short while, the sound wave was raised again, and in an instant, it broke through the sky. P.S. The big chapter is a bit slow, mainly to allow everyone to watch the opening game in one breath. Hope for understanding. Thank you. Chapter 349. Still Let People Live. 1 hour after the opening game, it is the official preliminary selection. But at this time, everyone is obviously still immersed in the aftertaste of this unforgettable opening match. Where is there any spare time to pay attention to the preliminary selection? Could it be that there are more trainers with legendary Pokémon? Or, a monster as powerful as Baizi? Do you think such a guy as Little Rada, everywhere in the world, must not be able to? I swore an oath. JPG. Soon, the game video and various text and voice commentary reports will be released. 1 Where 3. The legendary Pokémon is so vulnerable. Shock. The novice trainer who debuted for less than a year actually did this kind of thing with his glamorous elf at the opening match of the Silver Mountain Conference. Close double angle bracket open double angle bracket deeply decrypt the mysterious unknown elf Ferromero. As a brand new legendary elf, the possibility. How strong is the mysterious unknown elf Ferrombe after breaking the safety device with one blow? And the major website forums, Video Barrage, etc., also immediately launched a heated discussion around Baizi and Philomelis in this opening match. I'm a darling. What is Pai Nian? This is Pai Nian. I'm an outstanding person in Guangdong. What kind of legendary trainer? In front of my boss Baizi and Philomero, there is only one word, kneel. There are many words upstairs, and everything is right. Go. Wait a minute, allow me to report first. 10 years old fan, come uninvited. Good guy, I'm 20 years. 30 years. 40 years. 50 years. Break the queue. Seriously, are you saying that the elf called Philomelus is a legend? Also, has its strength really reached the championship level as stated in the broadcast? I think it should be. Like the beauty god or something. There should be no doubt about strength, right? Isn't there a popular comment post that said that the safety devices at the venue are almost the highest level, and they can effectively block the impact of the skills of the champion level? The champion level is only for Philome. The lower limit evaluation of the mantis, you must know that that kick was not hit directly. That can't be above the championship, can it? For a while, the barrage was full of colons. Less than a year after his debut, he is already amazing enough to hold a championship-level combat power. Champion, that is already the pinnacle of what ordinary people know as a trainer. Above the championship. No one dared to think about it. There is constant discussion on the internet. Same. Philodendron. This charming elf has also officially landed on the Elf Network and is temporarily classified into the World Illustrated book. And in a short period of time, it quickly rushed to the top 10 positions on the World's Most Popular Elf and the Most Beautiful Elf list. To know. Both lists have been in existence for several years. The top 10 votes have been accumulated over the years. Philomena was able to make it to the top 10 in less than a day. From this, you can fully see the huge popularity brought by the opening game. Of course, the power and beauty displayed by the Pheromeria itself is the key reason why it can transform the heat and bless itself. Auditorium, West End. The two brothers Lacey and Shinji looked at each other, feeling a little dazed for a while. Brother, are we still getting revenge? Shinji asked suddenly. The revenge he talked about was naturally the one-shot revenge for the fiasco at the Light Red Gym. But the voice just fell, pop. Lacey slapped his younger brother Shinji on the back of the head and rolled his eyes. Fuck it. It's not enough for the two of us to tie up one piece, so what is the Dacdo to beat? What about the Dacdo? Okay, don't think about these unrealistic things. What you need to consider now is how to go further in this grand event. This will be a grand event that will go down in history. And what we need to fight for is to leave our name on a page of this history. The champion doesn't need to think about it, the top 3. At least to get to the top 8. By the way, who is your opponent in the first battle? Lacey turned his head and asked. I'm in the second round of Group B on the 18th venue, the opponent is Qinglu from Junshin Town. Shinji replied and asked, how about you, brother? Is it such a coincidence? Lacey laughed. My opponent is also from Junshin Town, and the name should be called Crimson. Speaking of which, these two people, like that by Z, are both rookie trainers from Dr. Damu's hometown of Junshin Town. Earth spirits are outstanding, I'm afraid they are not weak. Let's go all out, Lacey cautiously said. Hearing this, Shinji waved his hand nonchalantly. No matter how weak, it's only a rookie trainer who just debuted this year. Could it be that these two guys can be as perverted as that by Z? Shinji, as trainer, never take it lightly. Lacey reprimanded in a deep voice, and when he saw Shinji admit his mistake, he nodded with satisfaction, and gave 2 more words. After separating from each other, they each went to their own preliminary match battle area. But 0. Ask for flowers. Although he reprimanded Shinji, Lacey actually basically agreed with his younger brother Shinji's point of view. Trendsetters like by Z are, after all, just an example. It is impossible for a lot of random games to appear, and it just happened to be met by the two brothers. If not, does that keep people alive? The disturbance from the outside world did not affect by Z. The preliminary round is divided into 8 groups of 25 people each. Except for the lucky one who got the bye, everyone needs to play 25 into 13, 13 into 7, and the last 7 into 4. Only those who can advance to the top 32 semifinals will officially go to the main arena of Silver Mountain to decide the winner. Finish the opening game. The first 25 to 13 obviously has nothing to do with him. Nothing to do. He went to the rest area, called Mei and Rusa Manai together, and went to the competition area outside the arena to watch the game. Not to gather intelligence or anything. I just want to see, I will meet those acquaintances. And this event can almost be said to attract worldwide attention, and the region did not disappoint him. Evening. On the way to the dining area. You seem to be happy. Rusa Minami's eyes wandered, and she suddenly asked. Did you see it? Baizi was taken aback. Obviously. Rusa Manai shrugged and turned to look at Mei on the other side. Sister Mei should also see it. Yi repeatedly. After you came out of the competition area, the smile on your face never stopped. Is that so? Baizi reached out and touched his cheek, met the eyes of the two women, and chuckled lightly. The reason is very simple, because I have seen a lot, even me, an opponent who needs to be a little more serious under normal circumstances. Alas, Yi didn't understand. She tilted her head and looked at Baizi with a cute look. Why would you be happy if you meet a strong enemy? Baizi rubbed the other's head with a light smile, and the words were like an answer to the question. The fun of climbing high and looking into the distance lies in this. It is too simple to climb, but it can't really be. See, where the unparalleled beauty lies. Several. 350. Accidents come first. Ask God to torture the flaming monkey. The next day. At 10:45 in the morning, Group A, Number 1 faces the battlefield. Coincidentally, Xiaoji and Baizi happened to belong to the same battle group, and they were also one of the players in the first battle in Group A. His opponent is named Zhang Ben, from the Chengdu area, a short and strong boy. Looking at his age, he should be at least 5 or 6 years older than Ash. In fact, this is the normal preliminary age range. A novice trainer like Xiaoji who has not debuted for less than a year has basically been screened out in the qualifiers. From this point of view, Xiaoji is not too big or not, and he can be regarded as a genius trainer. After all, he is also one of the very few rookies who have successfully made it to the Silver Mountain venue in less than a year after debuting. On the field. The game started soon. In the first battle, both sides very coincidentally dispatched 3 local grass-based imperial families to take the lead. Xiaoji's is a wonderful frog seed, and Zhangben's is a huge geranium, nearly 1 person, 433, tall. With just one glance, without even checking the data panel, Baizi decided the outcome of this round. Ash's frog seed is indeed talented. But lack of exercise, and unwilling to evolve, although the potential is high, but there is no way to convert it into actual combat power. On the other side, the guy named Zhang Ben is obviously planning to get ahead. This geranium is quite excellent in terms of appearance, luster, and breadth, and is obviously a battle-hardened main grass owner. It may be the main force and ace in the team of Ben. And the result was not beyond Baizi's expectations. The battle between geraniums and frog seeds was no different from adults bullying children. It's just a combination of flying leaf knife plus poison powder that hasn't been finished yet, and the frog seed was simply kicked out of the field, poisoned, and lost its ability to fight. Frog seeds. Xiaoji screamed and ran up. And Baizi can clearly see the confusion and disbelief on Ben's face. Weird expression. Even Geranium, and several other players in the same group around, showed strange expressions one by one. Obviously. The low limit shown by Xiaoji completely shocked everyone. This is a contestant of the Silver Mountain Conference who has passed the tests and completed the qualifiers. I also believe in the pure cute new ones who receive the initial elves. Baizi raised his forehead a little. And Xiaoji's next performance is still, eat dinner, as the second fire-breathing dragon. He gave Xiaoji a bite as soon as he came up, which shocked everyone. I almost thought it was the elf killing the master. Then he simply spread his wings and flew to the side of the arena, on top of a round stone pillar that was more than 10 meters high, and fell asleep. Xiaoji shouted and yelled for a long time below, but it was useless. In the second battle, he declared a loss. However, the pair of Ash and Pikachu are indeed emergency players. In the case of unfavorable attributes and relatively unfavorable levels, he just relied on various external tricks and astonishingly strong toughness, to 1 versus 3, to pick all the 3 main players who specialize in grass. Flip to the ground. Especially against the shield player, nut dumbbells that put Ben at the bottom. When it can't be attacked for a long time. That flash of inspiration combined the lightning strikes of thunder, flash of lightning, and iron tail, and even Baizi couldn't help but feel a sense of light in his eyes. Not bad, this compound trick at least has the energy level strength of a quasi-celestial king. Baizi smiled lightly and nodded with satisfaction. Although the frog seeds still refuse to evolve, the fire-breathing dragon is also not tamed by Ash. But at the very least, Pikachu's strength is far beyond the original. After all, in this time period of the original work, let alone a combination of tricks, Pikachu has not even a shadow of Iron Tail. As expected of the true new town trainer with the first surprise. You can't fight with dumbbells. The winner is Xiaoji from Junshin Town. Yeah. Very well, we've won. Following the referee's announcement, Xiaoji and Xiaoging Xiaoxia, who rushed down, immediately cheered and celebrated. Snapped Tilda. At this moment, Xiaoji's shoulders sank, and when he looked up, Baizi was already standing beside him at some point, pressing his palm on his shoulder. Hurry up and take Pikachu to the Elf Center at the venue. In the afternoon, you still have a tough battle to fight. Yes. Xiaoji woke up with a start, and hurriedly picked up Pikachu, who collapsed on the ground, and hurried to the outside of the venue. Xiaoging and Xiaoxia also quickly followed. Feng, Feng. The sound of wings flapping suddenly came. Baizi raised his head and looked at the orange-red dragon shadow gliding away. In his eyes, the brilliance flashed instantly. Fire-breathing dragon. Gym peak level 49, 99 100ths potential, champion. Old spray. Baizi was amazed. In less than a year, he has grown from an abandoned fire lord to an existence that is one step away from the quasi-celestial king. Such a growth rate is far from the white, yellow, red, and green of the color team, but for the average elf trainer, it is enough to frighten them to death. People. Tisk tisk, goddamn protagonist Halo. Ah, seems like me too, that's okay. In his heart, after Baizi, who was the second match player, came on the field, his opponent, a petite girl with a pink airplane head, had a bitter face and stood up to Baizi. Opposite. Of course she watched the opening game. With an opponent of that level, she doesn't think she has the slightest chance of winning. But fleeing without fighting is not her style either. What's more, in front of idols. Inhale tilde exhale. Taking a deep breath and then slowly protruding, the girl used the method of meditation to calm down. Then, she pulled her belt and bowed loudly to Baizi. Boss Baizi, I will do my best in this game, please don't hesitate to enlighten me. Ah, good. Baizi was stunned for a moment, but finally nodded and gave a simple response. However, when the girl saw this, she suddenly became a little excited. The boss is really amiable tilde W73. The number of elves that can be used by both sides is 3, and they can be freely exchanged during the battle. The party who loses all 3 elves in combat ability is the loser. The referee simply repeats the rules and then raises the flag. I announce that the second round of Group A, Li, the trainer of the Zun Gym in Shanao Curtain City, versus Baizi of Kanto Junshin Town, the game. After a few seconds of pause, the referee's flag suddenly waved down. Start. Discourse falls. Both hands threw the poke ball at the same time. What the quasi-do gym trainer girl named Ali released was a 4-armed, strong physique. Strange power, this is a trainer specializing in fighting, and almost everyone has one configuration. After all, the wrist strength is widely distributed and not uncommon, and the strange strength that eventually evolves also has a fairly good 1.8 show 6-dimensional race value, and an excellent skill attack surface. Naturally, it is deeply loved by martial arts trainers. This girl's strange power has been cultivated well, and it has reached the threshold of a gym intermediary, and the level is 39. And after the luxurious ball in Baizi's hand bloomed in the air. Boom, underscore. A flame rose up, and the thin figure wrapped in the raging flame slowly raised his head, turned his back to the crowd and the strange force, and pointed his finger to the sky. Yeah, Tilda. Baizi once said, I follow the way of flames, and I am in charge of the monkey of all fires. Baizi. No, I don't. P.S. Ali Tilda. 351. There is only one reason for your defeat. Nima, regret not telling the bedtime story to that pooch. Baizi had a stomachache expression on his face. I think that the original flame monkey was still a hard-working and simple little fire monkey. He was taciturn on weekdays, and basically he was not training or fighting every day. It is to discuss the use of the fire energy factor with the fire element senior Feng Speed dog in the team. It can be said that the spirit of study hard and make progress every day has been brought into full play. But don't know from that day. Although this guy is still assiduous on weekdays, he always likes to pester him to tell some stories. According to his own words, it is a biography of a character with a strong demeanor. Strong style. This is really not too difficult for Baizi. He had read a lot of anime novels in his previous life, and he had a camera-like absolute memory ability, so he could find some compelling characters to polish it up. The elf version of Wukong biography, Do Po, Death Aiden, and the Force King, Tiandao Zongji 25 in Common Rider, will be released in sequence. At first, Baizi was just a little fire monkey looking for some goals to motivate himself. But one day, the little fire monkey lost to Ibrahimovic in the team test, and shouted the sentence that made his mouth twitch at that time, 30 years Hidong, 30 years Hexi, don't bully the young monkey. Classic language 21, recorded back. Only then did Baizi find out. It turned out that before he knew it, the Destiny Fire Lord in his hand had turned into the shape of a Forest King. At this time, Baizi's embarrassment is unknown for the time being. After all, if you don't get along day and night or have the special ability to listen to the voice of the elves, you can't figure out what the flame monkey said. But obviously, humans couldn't understand it, but the elves present heard the truth. Hey Tilda cough. In particular, the strange power against the flaming monkey, the whole elf was on fire, and a fit posture appeared in the roar. One by one bodybuilding. In an instant, the muscles of Wei Li's body suddenly tightened, and the spreading energy turned into a layer of luster covering the whole body, enhancing its own attack and defense. Strange power. Ali also felt the emotion of forging ahead with strange force, and his heart was connected, and his blood rushed up immediately. As the gym owner of the Curtain Gym in the Shanao area, the daughter of Day, a well-known local martial arts master, has been fascinated by her since childhood, and Ali's eyesight is not bad at all. Although the flaming monkey in front of him has amazing aura, its aura does not exceed his own strange power by too much. It is obviously an elf at the same stage. Does Baizi want to train a new army? If I can defeat this flaming monkey, wouldn't I be able to make idols look at me highly? The brain circuit of a typical warm-blooded fighting trainer made Ali think of this, and immediately became more excited. Therefore, as soon as the game started, Ali took the lead in launching a rush attack. Strange force, sacrifice your life to collide. Sip _. The strange force sank into the waist in the horse, and the next second, an explosion-like vibration came from the soles of its feet, and the reaction force caused its body to be like the front of a galloping motor car. A deep pit was blasted on the ground, and it charged towards the flaming monkey, which was still facing its back. Immediately. Wait for the strange force to rush to the vicinity of the flaming monkey. Break by force. Mild tilde. The strange force suddenly roared, and the impacted figure bent down to the left, stretched forward with four hands, hugged, and went straight towards the slender waist of the flaming monkey. Dangerous Clash is a direct attack technique that can damage the enemy by 1000 and self-damage by 800. The damage is high, but it is not easy to hit. As for the fall by force, it is a kind of rear hairstyle, which is used for the ultimate trick of using force to hit. It is easy to hit in close combat, but the damage depends on the opponent's attack method and power. But at the moment, Ali combined these two moves, using the slam dunk as an explosive technique to enhance the short-distance explosive speed, and then using the force of the fall to transform his own strength. If this, collision hug and fall, is hit by, to be honest, with the body of the flaming monkey, I am afraid that it will be instantly killed by a direct cross-level. Excellent combo, Baizi secretly praised. Just. Although the personality of this flaming monkey is completely skewed, but because of this, it is addicted to all kinds of cool fire-type operations. In pairing skills, especially in the manipulation of fire skills, he is a master. Flame wheel. Baizi didn't look calm, and ordered in a deep voice. Next second. When the bad wind hits. The flaming monkey, which had no movement at first, suddenly fell straight forward, and in an instant, the waist that was about to be buckled by the forearms of the strange force could be avoided by the slightest difference. Immediately. Twisting the body, propelled by the sudden burst of fire energy, the phantom of the flame-colored streamer passed through the gap between the arms of the strange force in an instant. Almost in the blink of an eye, he came to a blind spot behind the strange force. Snapped. The claws covered with flames buckled, and the shoulders of the strange force that could not be avoided were buckled to death. Next second. The raging flames spread from the top of the flame monkey's head to the whole body, and rushed forward. His feet also locked the waist of the strange force. In a burst of flames, the whole body, together with the locked strange force, turned into a burning wheel and quickly rolled on the field. Boom, 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 boom. Black smoke bursts, and small bursts of flames burst from time to time, and where the flame wheel passed, the ground was burned with dark marks. Hurry up and get rid of it. The strange force. Ali, who finally reacted to 263, hurriedly shouted. But unfortunately, the flaming monkey will not give this opportunity. And by this time, it was too late. Sip, underscore. Finally, in the last burst of sound, the steamer catapulted into the sky, and the two sides were thrown apart at the same time in the sharp turn in midair. Boom. In an instant, the charred body with strange force was smashed straight down. Like a ball, it rolled on the ground several times before it rolled not far from the feet of his trainer. 6 feet on the ground. Lying on the ground motionless, he passed out. The other side. After a few somersaults in succession, the flaming monkey eased its momentum and landed lightly on the ground not far from Baizi, still facing the fallen monster and Ali. The tone that pretended to be condensed slowly came out in the flames that rose and passed around like a spot of light. Yeah. Only one reason for your defeat. That is, being my enemy. Lonely. Words fall. The flames flew by, leaving a lonely and thin figure, raising his head and looking at the sky. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. 352. Are you interested in being my pet? Slap tilde. Baizi slapped his forehead. Even if no one understood, he would only feel embarrassed that he could use his toes to dig out a 3-bedroom and 2-hall on the ground. You commanded the flaming monkey to instantly have strange power, a little gain, battle +5, flaming monkey experience +15, flame wheel proficiency +3. After a while, the system's prompt sound was long overdue. Then, the referee's decision brought Baizi back to reality. We can't fight monsters. Please release the contestants from the second round. Sure enough, even if it's just a new army, idols are not so easy to defeat. Ali rubbed his little nose, but he wasn't too disappointed. This result is not to say that it has been expected, but it is true that it has been prepared for a long time. Lemon essence. On the internet, who can't eat grapes and say the grapes are sour, Ali knows very well that the so-called good luck to have the approval of a spirit like Philomelody as completely invalid. Not to mention how the trainer itself is not good enough to gain the recognition of the powerful elves. Even if you're really lucky to get recognized. But the elves who have reached a certain level of strength are proud in their hearts. Even recognizes you as a trainer. But if you want to enlist them, your own level will not reach a certain level. There is a great possibility that you will face the same situation as the guy named Xiaoji just now. Elf, to the training. Turn a blind eye to the trainer's instructions. And Li, who had watched the opening match of Baizi with his own eyes. Baizi and his mysterious and unknown elf named Pheromena, the only thing I feel is like an arm and a heart. So, she has always recognized Baizi as a real powerhouse, and the sheer physical strength of Philomelody also makes her admire and admire. Exercise, tearing the sky and the earth with fists and feet. This is exactly what a martial arts trainer the scene she has been looking for all her life. Clap tilde. Ali suddenly reached out and patted his cheeks on both sides. Come on, come on, come on. He snorted like self-encouragement, and soon, Ali was full of energy again, stretched his hand to his waist, took out a pokeball, and threw it straight. The light flickered. A humanoid elf with a very Ganges wind appeared cross-legged, floating in the air. Cherim, fighting plus superpower dual type, is a very sharp and sensitive elf. This Cherim is obviously also carefully cultivated, and its strength is not inferior to that strange power. Even because of the superpower attribute, it was quite slick, forcing the flame monkey, who was unwilling to fight the war of attrition, to directly carry out a covering fire attack before defeating the opponent. It can be said that at the gym level, it is impeccable. As for Cherim's defeat, Ali's final trump card also made Baizi's eyes shine. Known as the Waveguide Messenger, few of them are the same as Zoroark. They are not legends, but they have exclusive the theatrical version of the treasure spirit. Lucario. To be frank. Of handsome and powerful, the dog can almost be in the top 3 in Baizi's heart. He is one of the few elves who are quite subdued. However, Lucario is as rare as a quasi-god, or even worse, and Baizi has only caught a glimpse of it in the opening match yesterday. And then, it's today. Speaking of which, Ali's Lucario has also been cultivated quite personalized. The fighting method is basically to use the waveguide as a fist glove and a foot glove to enhance the power of close combat. Force. Simple, but practical. Compared with the previous 2 features and obvious emphasis, this Lucario is worthy of Ali's trump card. If it weren't for the flaming monkey hiding the fire energy factor of condensing the flames into reality, and disrupting the opponent's rhythm under the assault, I am afraid that this battle will not be fought until when. Right now, on the field. Sip _ As Lucario, whose eyes were white, fell to the ground, the flame monkey holding the flame stick was in a mess, and staggered 2 steps, but still forced himself to take 2 steps forward. With one hand, he supported Lucario's body, who was about to fall forward. Yeah, tilde. No, I'm sorry, it seems that I am stronger than you, a million little. Fingertip Universe. JPG. Looking at the monkey who was struggling to hold up Lucario, but was still talking nonsense with his gestures, Baizi couldn't help rolling his eyes. This guy is helpless. Lucario lost his ability to fight, the winner is Baizi from Junshin Town. Your flaming monkey defeats Li, you get a little gain, battle +8, flaming monkey EXP +10, flaming fist proficiency +3. As the referee announced the result, the system beep sounded. Then. Thank you very much. Ali bowed deeply to the flaming monkey, and then took Lucario back into the Pokeball. Yeah, The flaming monkey's figure was slightly blurred, but it still held on strong, slowly nodded to Ali, pondered for a while, and said something. Huh. Naturally, Ali couldn't understand, and tilted his head, just as he was about to ask. A red ray immediately covered it and retracted it into the Pokeball. Then, Baizi saw the little girl with the pink nose running over, choking, and bowing to him again. Thank you for your advice, Mr. Baizi, I will make good use of this experience and become very strong, and then come to you for advice. Don't be so polite. Baizi shook his head and chuckled. I also benefited a lot from this game. Saying that, Baizi raised his hand. It can be seen to the naked eye. The little girl's eyes immediately widened, and then a flush of excitement suddenly rose on her face. She wiped her hands on her clothes, and then she stretched out her hands and held his hands. Fingertip. Yes, it is my honor. I will definitely work harder. I look forward to it. Baizi chuckled lightly, and shook his hands directly, but he was very measured, and then he turned and left. But at this moment, Ali's stammering voice suddenly came from behind. Well, do you know what Senior Flame Monkey said to me just now? Baizi said, a meal visible to the naked eye. Quote. It praises you for your strength. Leaving this sentence, Baizi waved his hand without looking back, and walked towards the rest area. The consumption of the flaming monkey is not light, and he needs to go back to find Fufu for a cure. But winter. Recalling what Blazing Monkey and Ali said, Baizi couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. A little girl, your strength is good, do you want to be my pet? So. I remember that I didn't tell the flaming monkey a story about a big black dog who was shameless. Wipe. 353. Tuko, the ideal or real dragon god. The final round of the preliminary round in the afternoon, 7 went to 4. The overall strength of Baizi's opponents was not enough for Li. Naturally, he was beaten to 3 cities by the flaming monkey, and he successfully won the match. Qualifications. With the help of the experience points gained from these 3 battles, the flaming monkey has also successfully advanced again, getting closer and closer to the realm of the quasi-celestial king. Want to say here is that Xiaoji happened to get a bye in this 7-4 draw, so he successfully entered the top 32 of this game. 7-4 in the third round of this preliminary match happened to be the first match for Baizi. Therefore, after finishing the fight soon, on his way back to the rest area, he opened the Elf Pokédex and searched for the players who had been successfully selected into the top 32 during this time period. Sure enough, the preliminary round can't stop you guys. Several familiar names suddenly came into view, causing Baizi, who was walking and watching, to reveal a smile. Lounge area, top floor, VIP exclusive suite. As a super venue that can accommodate tens of thousands of people, even if the alliance is mainly to provide medical, food and accommodation for the contestants, the commercial value contained in it is naturally impossible set aside without developing at all. Therefore, in addition to the battlegrounds located on the north and south sides, on the east and west sides of the main venue arena, there are quite prosperous and well-stocked shops consisting of all kinds of shops. Industry Street. The accommodation and rest areas built around the venue also range from ordinary suites to V2631P exclusive suites comparable to 5-star champion suites. Of course, except for the special area for players, the rest of the rooms need to be paid for. The price of the VIP exclusive suite is naturally expensive. However, Baizi has always been reluctant to treat himself badly, and he has a lot of elves in his hands, so he moved out of the player area and settled on a room. Drop _ Swipe your card and open the door. Oh woo tilde. Click tilde. As soon as he entered the door, Baizi saw 1 black and 1 white, 2 small figures leaping in his direction with joy. Baizi hurriedly stretched out his arms and hugged him. 1 to the left and 1 to the right, it was the 2 little fellows Lugia and Kapu Mingming. This is also one of the reasons why Baizi specially set up the exclusive VIP suite. The 2 little guys, Lugia and Kapu Mingming, are still young, so they can't be carried in the Pokeball for a long time. Come Lord. And the Baiyinshan venue is no better than the wild, allowing Baizi Shicheng to take 2 little guys to let the wind out. I needed a game, and I didn't want to be bored with the 2 little guys, so I ordered a VIP suite like an indoor garden, and entrusted the 2 little guys to Lusamanai and the others. Bud looks after. You're back. As soon as Baizi closed the door, Rusamanai, who was dressed in regular clothes, walked in casually. After skillfully changing the shoes and hats for Baizi, she welcomed him into the house. Looking at the two little guys who were rolling around in Baizi's arms and fighting each other, Lucimina couldn't help but rolled her coquettish eyes, and scolded with a smile. I was eating and playing with me all day, but as soon as you came back, you immediately turned your face and didn't recognize anyone. You are too little conscience. Ha ha tilde. Hearing this, Baizi chuckled lightly and looked around. He didn't see a certain pair of ponytails of vitality coming out. He suddenly asked curiously, by the way, where's Yayi? She was called downstairs not long after you set off to participate in the competition. It seems to be one of her fellow villagers named Tuzi. While explaining, Rusumanai made a pot of warm tea for Baizi, poured it with her own hands, and then handed the porcelain cup to Baizi. Tutor. Baizi took it casually, took a sip, and repeated the name with a slightly raised brow. Tuko, this is one of the heroines of the Pokemon game version. Like Mei, she is from the Hujong area and is from Wamu Town. In Pokemon Black and White, she is not just a trainer with a protagonist personality. And at the end, it will also be chosen by one of the upper-level legends known as heroes in the Uzu region, either the ideal dragon god, Zekrom, or the real dragon god, Reshiram. As a hero who lives, ideal, or real. Is it an ideal or real dragon god? Baizi's eyes flickered. Just as he was about to say something. Dong dong dong. There was a sudden knock on the door. Baizi and Rusamine looked at each other. He handed the two reluctant little guys to Rusamanai and signaled to avoid them, then got up and walked towards the door. Who? CFED. On the other side, North District, number 22 faces the battlefield. Toriko, come on. On the viewing platform, Mei didn't care about other people's strange eyes at all, and cheered loudly for the little sisters in the field. And on the field, the beautiful girl with a light brown ponytail and curly hair, wearing a limited edition Alliance cap, and a hot suit, also completely lived up to her trust. With a powerful arm and a figure that is far superior to King Yanwu of his family, he used a double arm hammer to directly smash the opponent's last participating elf, King Nito, into the ground. Strikeout. The winner is the Tuko contestant from Wamu Town in the Hujong area. Yes. With the sound of the referee, Tuzi jumped up and cheered, and gave a high five to King Yanwu, who bowed slightly and smiled. Slap, _. The applause was crisp. Thank you for your hard work, King Yanwu. Putting away King Yanwu, who showed no signs of fatigue, Tuzi turned and walked towards the viewing platform. Get into the stands. Tuzi, who was casually sitting next to Yayi and continued to watch the battle, looked at Yayi next to her. Her expression was a little weird. After a while, she always felt that the good girlfriends she used to get along with day and night seemed to have changed a lot all of a sudden. Just as she was about to ask. Toko. A slightly weak telepathy, like the warmth of the morning light, sounded from her ear. This little friend of yours, it's not easy. Lord Dragon God, are you awake? Tuzi's eyes lit up, and with the familiarity of the two sides, he responded in his heart and asked, isn't it easy? Are you talking about Bud? Well, I sensed other legendary auras from her body, more than one, and the one with the deepest entanglement, its aura is so strong, I am afraid that even when I was in my entire body, I would not dare to say it. This. Tuzi was stunned, and when he looked at Yayi again, the words came to his lips, but in the end he didn't ask any questions. After all, even she herself has an unknown secret at this time. However. Mei, do you want to have an elf battle? Huh. Mei was stunned for a moment, and asked in surprise, now. Not bad. Tuzi looked serious. Although she had decided not to explore and question Mei's secrets, she still cared about the changes in her best friend. And as a trainer, there is no better way to get to know each other than to fight. P.S. Guess which dragon god is carrying on the body? 354. 32 into 16, dream come true. So, you want to ask me to help Ash tame his fire-breathing dragon who doesn't want to follow orders. In the living room, Baizi crossed Erlang's legs, put his hands on his knees, looked at the trio of Xiaoji sitting on the sofa opposite him, and asked with a surprised expression. He didn't even expect that the trio of Xiaoji would come to help him. To know. This is during the game. But to be honest, they are still rivals with a competitive relationship. But, speaking of fire-breathing dragons, this is indeed one of the few types of Yusan that is not very easy to deal with. As a sub-dragon elves with dragon elements in their bodies, they were the same as most of the initial 3 families in the Age of Small Fire Dragons, with gentle personalities and good, commanding. It is also easy to play and get close to the trainer. But all this began to change after they evolved into fire dinosaurs. Their personalities would become aggressive, and the fire attribute factor that seemed to increase like a rock flow in their bodies also made the temper becomes impulsive and aggressive like a flame. It will look for an opponent to fight, and if it does not win, the blood will not calm down. At this stage, the arrogance that belongs to the dragon class in the depths of their genes has been highlighted, but as long as the trainer is not too naive, generally speaking, it will not be too reckless. Until it finally evolved into a fire-breathing dragon. The arrogance of the dragon, which is hidden deep in the genes, is almost penetrated into the marrow of the fire-breathing dragon, even more than the general Yulong species with dragon attributes. Even more. Once it feels that the strength of the trainer is not worthy of itself, then it will almost become normal to not obey the command, and it is not uncommon to directly abandon its own trainer. Baizi guessed that the dragon bloodline that can be inspired by the evolution of Mega may be quite pure and powerful in the distant ancient times. Compared with the same kind, Xiaoji's fire-breathing dragon is not only gifted, but also because he was abandoned by the first trainer when he was a small fire dragon. Extremes must be reversed. This made this guy even more arrogant after he evolved into a fire-breathing dragon. It seems that he has completely forgotten the life-saving grace of Xiaoji and the deep bond between each other. I beg you. Suddenly, a heavy low voice interrupted Baizi's thoughts, and I saw that Xiaogang was already on the ground at some point. Mr. Baizi, maybe our request is too much, but I really don't want Xiaoji to have any regrets in this competition. Even if he can't go further, I also hope that Xiaoji can show all of himself in this competition without leaving any regrets, instead of leaving the stage with regrets. Please. Xiaogang. Xiaoji was stunned, although he usually acts a little heartless, but this does not mean that he is really an idiot. This is already the second one. Obviously it's his own business, but on the road to becoming a Pokemon master, he always needs others to push him forward. And he himself, although he shouted the slogan very loudly every time, it didn't take long for the old ways to germinate. Once again I fell into the cycle of cramping when things happen, and getting lost when nothing happens. At this moment, Xiaoji's heart was touched like never before. Huh. Baizi also seemed to feel Xiaoji's change. And right now. Drop drop. A short electronic beep broke the stagnant atmosphere in the room. It's my communicator. Xiaoxia raised her hand embarrassingly, took out the communicator and opened it at will, just as she was about to turn it off. Huh. Xiaoxia, who was looking at the screen, was suddenly stunned. Next second. A clear voice of a woman's announcement came out one by one. The selection list for the preliminary round has been completed, and the battle list has been released immediately. The Xiaoji players you are concerned about will be randomly arranged in the third game for 32 to 16 battles in this match. Open black lens bracket time. October 20th, 1 p.m. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket venue. Stonefield close black lens bracket. Competitor. In an instant, several people held their breaths. And the next second, the trio of Ash was struck by lightning at once. Opening square bracket ... Baizi contestant from Junxin Town. Good guy. This time, even Baizi was a little dumbfounded. Ask for flowers. After taking out the illustrated book and confirming that it was correct, Baizi's eyes narrowed for a moment, then suddenly stood up. Let's go, I agree. Ah, Xiaoji raised his head in a daze, obviously not recovering from the sudden message. It was Xiaoxia and Xiaoging. Hearing this, a surprise suddenly appeared in his eyes. He looked at each other, and almost invariably patted Xiaoji's head. Thank you, brother Baizi. Slap, underscore. There was a crisp sound, followed by Xiaoji's painful cry like killing a pig. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Seeing this, Baizi couldn't help shaking his head in a funny way. The reason for agreeing to this request, on the one hand, is not only caused by sudden bad taste, but more importantly, it is a kind of dream fulfillment. As a memory that accompanied him growing up in his previous life, one of the most impressive regrets brought to him by the anime, Pokemon, is that Xiaoji was inexplicable at various alliance conferences. Wonderful failure. What, water-storing fire-breathing dragon, golden healing shuriken, divine beast man, will not be mentioned. Inexplicable is inexplicable. But Xiaoji also tried his best to fight. But in the first quartz conference, when Xiaoji faced an opponent who was obviously much weaker than him, he had to stop at the top 16 because the fire-breathing dragon fell asleep. To be frank, when Baizi watched it, he was really aggrieved. Even if you send a strong enemy to defeat Ash and fire-breathing dragon head-on, that's fine. Do this, really. And now, since he has the ability to change the situation, why not try it? After all, what kind of surprise can Ash and fire-breathing dragon do their best to bring me at the conference? I am really looking forward to it. PS1. Dragon-type elves whose first attribute is not a dragon, such as desert dragonfly ~chi. 355. Wholehearted, wholehearted, wholehearted. October 19th, evening. The direction of the mountain behind the Baiyinshan venue, north, 15 miles away. Sip underscore. In an uninhabited rocky valley, the flaming monkey, covered in red flames, flew up and kicked a thin fire-breathing dragon. Wu tilde. The blow that hit the next weak point caused the fire-breathing dragon's sight to be distracted for a moment. But then. Fire-breathing dragon, hold on. Double your return. Wu, underscore. In an instant, the scattered eyes of the fire-breathing dragon suddenly opened in anger, and in the whimpering sound, it actually relied on the strength of its head and neck to kick its right leg against the flaming monkey and straighten its head again. Next second. It has already waved its claws and grabbed the right leg of the flaming monkey, spun it around with it, and smashed it to the ground in vain. Acrobatics. The monkey was in the air, falling at a very high speed, but it didn't panic at all. In a twist of the figure, he turned around and buckled, deftly like a bird, he locked the fire-breathing dragon's arm. Push harder. Click, 263. The bones and bones were brittle, and the fire-breathing dragon subconsciously let go of his grasp in a groan. The flaming monkey pulled out its ankles in an instant, flew up, kicked on the back of the fire-breathing dragon, and did some somersaults in a row, keeping a distance from the fire-breathing dragon. Yeah tilde. The flaming monkey, whose feet are not small or 8, but his right leg is slightly floating, has his hands on his back, showing the demeanor of a master. You. Not bad. Roar. Suddenly, accompanied by little sparks, bursts of low roars emerged from the tightly closed corners of the fire-breathing dragon, the nostrils came out, and two groups of hot air suddenly exhaled like sirens. Spray. Okay, that's it. Putting one hand in his pocket, Baizi, who was slightly tired, directly stopped Xiaoji's upcoming order. From the afternoon of the day before yesterday until now, it is said to be a day and a half, but in fact, Baizi spent nearly 50 hours in this deserted valley with Xiaoji and the fire-breathing dragon. Time. Just over 2 days. To be frank. In the past 2 days, Baizi has a new understanding of Xiaoji's old squirrel and himself. Let's talk about this old spray first. In terms of size, Ash's fire-breathing dragon is clearly underdeveloped. Thin and short. But what is completely contrary to its size is that this fire-breathing dragon is born with an extremely tough dragon body, and, which can be called unparalleled power, shoulder and arm strength. Arceus is opening a door for you, and repairing the window for you. Compared with the physique, this fire-breathing dragon is far from a talent for the power of the fire energy factor. Exotic, but also well above average. The only thing that is slightly weaker is that it may be less stamina. Otherwise, it's perfect. Then there is Xiaoji. The method for Baizi to help Xiaoji tame the fire-breathing dragon is very simple, just one word. Hit. Although the flaming monkey is slightly weaker than the fire-breathing dragon in level, combined with Baizi's powerful command ability, the fire-breathing dragon was ruthlessly crushed during the battle. Early stage. Being beaten by Baizi's precise tactics and the flame monkey's excellent fire element manipulation skills, he has no temper at all. In the end, in desperation, he had to rely on Xiaoji's power. White Pond. It is the intention to force the fire-breathing dragon and Xiaoji to run in with absolute high pressure. Awaken, or re-establish the bond between them. Originally, Baizi only planned to do it, and left the rest to Xiaoji and fire-breathing dragon to solve it by themselves. But what he didn't expect was, under his high-pressure training, not only did the fire-breathing dragon show his willpower and speed of progress, but even Xiaoji seemed to have shown astonishing learning, or in other words, his ability to imitate. With every strategy and tactic he used in the battle, after suffering a loss, Xiaoji quickly absorbed and transformed it into a fighting method suitable for him and the fire-breathing dragon. And, under Baizi's increasing pressure and force, Xiaoji seems to have entered a special state of epiphany. Fast, absorbing nutrients from Baizi, and growing up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Of course. With Baizi's temperament, even though both Xiaoji and the fire-breathing dragon showed changes that made him happy, Baizi was at most more attentive. But he will never be forced to spend more than 50 hours in this valley day and night with Xiaoji. What really makes Baizi so invested? In addition to this period, the flame monkey gradually improved to the level of the quasi-king with the help of the excellent, experience package, of the fire-breathing dragon. And also, it was he who constantly realized the waveguide that Xiaoji was gradually inspired by under the limit state, and gradually nurtured brand new abilities. And at this moment, the reason why he called to stop. It is precisely because of this new ability that it has been conceived and completed one by one. By constantly comprehending Xiaoji's waveguide, you have gained a little bit, and you have acquired a new superpower skill, synchronization. Synchronization, unity with the spirit of the elf to stimulate the current greatest potential combat power. However, although Baizi stopped, the fire-breathing dragon was obviously a little dissatisfied. Although it stood firm and did not admit defeat directly, but it was suppressed and beaten until now, and finally it was a bit evenly matched, and even when it was hoped to turn defeat into victory, you suddenly stopped fighting. How could this possibly satisfy it? Furthermore, today's fire-breathing dragon has vaguely felt that the bottleneck of the quasi-king is loosening. Perhaps it only needs another evenly matched death battle, and it can break through the bottleneck and reach the realm of the quasi-king. How can it easily let go of this ready-made whetstone in front of it? Roar. In the passionate dragon roar, in the open mouth of the fire-breathing dragon, a flowing flame rapidly spun and condensed, scorching and twisting the air around the corner of the mouth. Its terrifying high temperature is displayed here. But next second. Like a heavy hammer slamming on the brain under his skull, the violent and irresistible dizziness made the fire-breathing dragon unable to condense the fire element. The jet flame that was ready to go out in the mouth dissipated instantly, and the whole dragon also crooked and half knelt on the ground. The unfinished battle will be left for tomorrow. Glancing at the fire-breathing dragon who tried his best to spread his wings even when he knelt down, and protected Xiaoji behind him, the white psychic light in Baizi's eyes gradually extinguished, and at the same time he flashed a smile, he set the foundation. Tune. Subsequently, without waiting for a response from one person and one pet, he took back the blazing monkey who was about to talk, and released Shinado. Excuse me, let's go back. Sana tilde. Nodding slightly, in the next second, Baizi and Shinado disappeared in place. The valley fell into silence. Puff, underscore. The fire-breathing dragon suddenly pushed the golden mountain down like a jade pillar and fell to the ground on its back. Fire-breathing dragon. Xiaoji was taken aback and rushed forward, dragging a tired man, only to find that the fire-breathing dragon was breathing steadily, just staring blankly at the bright moon rising gradually in the sky, and he was relieved. Gas. Roar tilde. Suddenly, the fire-breathing dragon let out a low roar, aimed his gaze at Xiaoji, clenched his right paw, and stretched it out in front of Xiaoji. Xiaoji was slightly taken aback. Immediately, as if he understood something, he wiped his nose and pointed his fist up. I knew about the fire-breathing dragon, so I used our whole heart, strength, and spirit to try. No, you must win. Roar. In an instant, a loud dragon roar resounded throughout the 4 fields. Next second. Boom, underscore. A scorching red flame beam suddenly rose out from the Taniguchi above. Defeat Brother Baizi. 356. Fire is Power. Male Dragon Romance. October 20th, underscore. Morning. At 10:30, the first game of the Silver Mountain Alliance conference officially started after the passionate speech of the part-time referee commentator Caesar. As the starters of this game, neither of them are the original characters that Baizi is familiar with. But, according to the introduction of the commentator Caesar, the 2 guys named Ziso and Xiaoji are both well-known genius trainers in the Hezhong and Shanao areas. All of them have won the semifinals or even the championship of regional league competitions, and all of them specialize in the flight department, and most of the main players have also been promoted to the field of quasi-kings. In this competition, it can be said that it is only the hidden monsters such as Baizi, the highest level of normal genius trainers. Big Build Bat vs Merc Eagle. Ravenhead vs Owl Nighthawk. Soundwave Dragon vs Tanabata Bluebird. To be frank, this battle in the air, let alone the audience, even Baizi was addicted to watching it. Strategy, intensity, adversarial. These trainer elements are fully maxed out to 25. It can be said. This starting match was quite successful, and it completely heated up the venue. Finally, Hisoka defeated Xiaoji with a slight advantage, and successfully won the first round of 32 into 16 rounds of 16 qualifications. Next is the second game. This battle is not so close. Because of the 2 sides, one is the last champion who was famous in Kanto, and his strength is almost the elite trainer at the gym level. This is actually the average of most of the top 32 players. Level. The other one is the only 5 left on the bright side of the top 32. Well, now to be precise, it should be one of the 4 quasi-king trainers. Therefore, there is no suspense in this game at all. In less than 10 minutes, the champion of the last quartz conference was crushed by the direct push team. In the player lounge, the electronic beep sounded one by one. Open black lens bracket ding dong. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket athlete by Z go to the stadium to prepare, please. Close black lens bracket. It's my turn. Baizi got up immediately, stretched his body, opened the door with a light smile, and walked straight towards the corridor leading to the venue. Girls and gentlemen, there are also audience friends in front of the TV screen. What's going to unfold next is the third game of 32 to 16 in this tournament. The impassioned voice of the commentator Caesar reverberated on the field. Going out of the east corridor is the first dark horse of this competition, with an unknown beautiful elves, and in the opening game, he beat the trainer who has the legendary elves, from Dr. Damu. Hometown, Baizi of Junshin Town. Words fall. Wow, underscore. Over the venue, enthusiastic cheers suddenly sounded, like a tidal wave. It wasn't until Baizi came on the court that he slowly stopped. And his opponent is a rookie trainer, Xiaoji, who also came from Junxin town and started on the same day. Polite applause sounded, but the enthusiasm was obviously not at the same level. But Xiaoji obviously doesn't care about this kind of thing. Step onto the podium. After the referee announced the start. He couldn't wait to throw out his pokeball. Go on, it's up to you. Roar tilde. The dragon roared brightly, and the orange-red flying dragon spread its wings over the field of stone. And in front of Bai Zi, the light flickered. The flaming monkey wearing a flaming armor robe stands proudly on a raised stone mountain, with eyes like electricity, and it meets the fire-breathing dragon hovering in the sky on the opposite side. Moment. Fire-breathing dragon, rush up and use fly. Xiaoji took the lead in launching a rush attack. According to common sense, the fire-breathing dragon, which has the advantage of flying, can be turned into an air bomber, commanding a commanding height, and carrying out an air-to-ground superiority strike on the flightless flame monkey. But common sense is just common sense after all. During the 2 days of training and confrontation, Xiaoji and the fire-breathing dragon were very aware of the degree of manipulation of the fire element by the flaming monkey in front of him. Open the distance and play with fire-based long-range bombing. This is equivalent to playing a sniper match with a sharpshooter. Although Xiaoji is stupid, but he will not use his own shortcomings to attack the enemy's strengths. Therefore, it is natural to decide the outcome by melee combat. Combining the characteristics of his fire-breathing dragon and his sensitive estimation of the flaming monkey, if you want to get close, you must have enough speed and suddenness. Roar tilde. The fire-breathing dragon above the sky locked tightly on the flaming monkey, its wings spread flat, and in the next second, the whole body was wrapped in a light blue light curtain, and it plunged in the direction of the flaming monkey. This trick. Acrobatic, usage that he learned from the flaming monkey. With the help of the special state brought by the attacking skills, the flaming monkey can enhance the dexterity of the body to break free and double return. Xiaoji is using the flying skills power storage feature to enhance the acceleration of the fire-breathing dragon's dive. If Brother Baizi ordered to avoid it, then I will order the fire-breathing dragon to forcibly leave the energy layer of the flying skill, and then dash to the side of the flame monkey through the impact of the explosion of the energy layer, and use the dragon claws to hold it tightly. Crossing Qinkang secretly, this is what Xiaoji thought of in a flash before the battle. Its main purpose is to hope that such a two-stage attack can restrain the opponent's movements unexpectedly, drag the battle into the ground, and force the flame monkey and its own fire breathing. In the strongest field, the dragon is head-to-head. I have to say, this is a really good idea. It's the normal way to win. But it's a good strategy. Baizi shook his head slightly. In terms of pure power of 280, the flame monkey really sighed, but this does not mean that the flame monkey really does not have the capital to face the fire-breathing dragon directly. Flame can also be turned into power. His eyes flickered, and the next second, he ordered in a deep voice, "Flaming monkey, close combat." Yeah tilde. The flaming monkey jumped up immediately, and under Xiaoji's astonished gaze, layers of flame armor burst out all over his body, like a rocket propelled by the swirling flames, and he threw his fist at the fire-breathing dragon that slammed down. Go. He actually chose to attack the fire-breathing dragon head-on. Xiaoji Tongguang was shocked, but the oppressive growth in the past 2 days still made him react at the last moment. Use dragon claws. Woo. In the high-pitched dragon roar, the attached, flying, energy layer was immediately pierced, and the surging impact drove the dragon's body, and the fire-breathing dragon waving the bright green energy claws looked wildly. Strategy and tactics are not what it loves after all. Only by confronting it head-on and punching to the flesh is the romance of the male dragon. P.S. The main reason for the slowness of writing recently is to entangle the battles of the protagonists, red, green, and little yellow. Do you want to write them in detail? Please give me an idea. 357. The power of the waveguide is in my heart. As if the atmosphere was torn apart, the bright green energy claws slammed it fiercely, bringing bursts of whistling sounds, and slapped on the bottom-up fist of the flame monkey. Sip _ The roaring sound of the twilight drum and the morning bell reverberated through the venue. Energy scatters and turns into a ring. The dragon claws under the blessing of flying collide head-on with the melee combat wrapped in flames. There is no doubt that, purely in terms of strength, the fire-breathing dragon has the upper hand. Although the dragon's claws under the blessing are short-lived, and the close combat fist wrapped in the flaming armor is frozen in midair. Mutual stalemate. But as the muscles of the fire-breathing dragon's arms knotted up, it continued to exert force. Click. On the armor that the flames condensed, 1, 2. Cracks spread from where the fists and claws meet. The back of the flaming monkey, and even the fist arms are constantly being bent. But right now. The fire-breathing dragon noticed that the drooping monkey head below suddenly lifted up, and pulled an inexplicable grin towards himself. Steaming hot air was exhaled from his nostrils, and the fire-breathing dragon felt provocative before he could react. Click. Flame armor shattered. Then, a surging impact suddenly came from the claws, with a surging explosion of fire, engulfing it completely. Boom. Like a volcanic eruption, at the moment when the flame armor wrapped around the flame monkey shattered, the flame factor brewing in it instantly erupted from the fist arm raised by the flame monkey. With an unstoppable impact force, the fire-breathing dragon, which was still in the upper hand in the wrestling process, was engulfed and blown away like a smash. It exploded straight to a height of hundreds of meters before turning into a charred parabola, and fell down in front of Xiaoji's podium in embarrassment. Is this a close combat combined with a flame fist? Or is it a brand new fire-type trick? In the observation room, Korna pushed the rimless glasses on the bridge of his nose, and looked meaningfully at Baizi and the flaming monkey on the field. Speaking of which, this young man named Baizi once had a relationship. On the day of the Golden City Siege incident. That startling glimpse, the sight of being faintly worshipped by elves of all paths, she still remembers it fresh. It's not so much a move as it is the application of the fire attribute energy factor tilde. Dr. Damu interrupted Kona's reverie, took a sip from the teacup, and continued, and this looks like a punch, but it actually combines several processes. A flame armor that is wrapped around the body's surface, condensing energy and defending. An unknown method of blasting energy out at a fixed point. And the trick to dumping the accumulated energy at one time and igniting it so that it can explode without damaging itself. Therefore, it's not so much a punch, it's a combo. Dr. Damu talked at length, and after he finished speaking, he raised the teacup to moisten his throat again, and sighed, Baizi, the elf in his hands is really good. In the field. Baizi didn't even know that Dr. Damu analyzed the punch of the flaming monkey almost at a glance. The flame armor of the flaming monkey is a gauntlet trick that simulates the arrogant needlebee, and the methods of blasting and pouring energy are simulated wind speed dogs, Junyan, and scorching flame shock, respectively. These are indeed still unable to form independent and mature skills, but use the superb fire energy factor operation to achieve combined combos. At this moment, the first mover wins. He pursues without hesitation. Rock blockade. The flaming monkey, who turned over and fell back to the ground, immediately folded his hands, and immediately pushed forward with his palms. In an instant, countless energy rocks condensed from the void, turned into flying arrows, and the overwhelming will be completely submerged in the future. For a while, the smoke screen was everywhere, and the roaring sound continued. Fire-breathing dragon. Xiaoji woke up with a start, and couldn't help crying. No response. And then. Understand it, sharp stone attack. Along with Baizi's cold voice, the flaming monkey held its hands out of thin air, and pulled out a sharp stone from the ground and suddenly shook. In an instant, the flames lingered, turning the sharp stone in his hand into a stick shape with a burnt pattern. double-wielding over the top door, leaping up, facing the fire-breathing dragon locked in the rock, and slamming down on the head. Fire-breathing dragon. With a hoarse voice, at this moment, Xiaoji on the podium looked at the attacking blow that was gradually approaching, and his mind suddenly became blank. Going to lose. I didn't even do any damage to Brother Baizi's flaming monkey. It was still the same as the previous 2 days of training. The huge command gap made it impossible for him to exert the violent and powerful dragon body of the fire-breathing dragon. Obviously, the fire-breathing dragon had already worked so hard, and it was clear that he finally recognized himself again. Obviously, he had reached this point, but he still failed to fight with all his strength. It's going to be so embarrassing, is it over? Xiaoji's figure swayed, and a suffocating dizziness suddenly came, but the surging unwillingness in his heart rose more and more. Damn! His teeth were clenched, blood oozing from the corners of his mouth. Awake from a dream, Xiaoji's increasingly unwilling heart suddenly raised a doubt. Why does it seem like time has become so long? This doubt arises. Next second. An unwilling growl came from the bottom of my heart. Break free, break free, break free. I can't just walk away like this. Absolutely, cannot accept such a failure. This is the sound of a fire-breathing dragon. It seems that he understands this inexplicably, and Xiaoji's spirit is shaken in vain. Yes, how can it be like this, without any achievements, and exit the stage in embarrassment? The power of the waveguide is in my heart. Like a murmur inadvertently, Xiaoji subconsciously pressed his right fist to his heart. At this moment, an incomparably pure and vast power emerged from all over Ash's body, turned into a real blue light, crossed time and space, and connected to the monies trapped in the rock on a block of fire-breathing dragons. Next second. Boom. Like a real flame rising, blue flames mixed with red flowing flames spread and skyrocketed around the fire-breathing dragon. The stone exploded with a bang. Roar it! The fire-breathing dragon that broke out of the seal had ghastly eyes, its Chuji arms swelled up, turned its head sideways, and let the sharp stone attack hit the left shoulder. The right paw stretched forward, wrapped around the neck of the flaming monkey, and slammed down towards the ground. The ultimate impact. Click, click. Boom. The sound of bones shattering was overshadowed by the sound of roaring shocks. ... Did you win? 358. Battle of Brothers, Qinglu vs Xiaomao. Before long, the smoke screen cleared. Roar tilde. The flesh and blood on the left shoulder was blurred, and the fire-breathing dragon that had completely collapsed a few inches was soaring. Win. A pure smile appeared on Xiaoji's half-closed face, his eyes rolled over, and he fell to the ground on his back in a burst of exclamations. And at the moment when Xiaoji fell to the ground, the fire-breathing dragon in the field also fell down like a pillar of gold. A splash of dust. Wide guide. On the opposite podium, a smile appeared on Baizi's still calm face. Xiaoji, he actually replaced one of Baizi's elf. In the stands, Xiaomao held the railing tightly with both hands, his heart pounded, and he swallowed. Thinking too much. A sneer came from beside him, with a similar face and a spiky head. It was Xiaomao's twin brother, Qinglu. He leaned against the wall and glanced casually across the arena. Although Baizi is far from using his full strength, and he is not using the main force, it is not something that anyone can easily defeat. After all, that was the guy who defeated this uncle. But Xiaomao frowned and was about to refute. Can be followed. Another change on the field made the words he was about to blurt out in his mouth. Sip, _. Flaming monkey, with half of its body planted on the ground suddenly exploded and dissipated like a foam. Next second. Snapped. A powerful claw rested on the edge of the pothole. Is a substitute. When? Of course before being grabbed by the neck. As if knowing what Xiaomao was thinking, Qinglu spoke silently. Subsequently. He tilted his head slightly, and squinted at Xiaomao condescendingly. You don't have to feel sorry for that guy Xiaoji anymore. If you want to understand the gap, you can experience it yourself. Next, let me see your progress. Words fall. The images of two similar-looking teenagers with fixed makeup suddenly appeared on the big screen behind Qinglu. Immediately afterwards, the interface flashed, and 2 lines of subtitles suddenly appeared. The 4th scene. Damu Qinglu vs Damu Shigeru. Close black lens bracket. Qinglu vs. Xiaomao, this is a match not to be missed. CFED. In the player's area, Baizi sighed a little after he assisted Gili Egg to help the flaming monkey heal the not-serious injury, and then put away the 2 elves. Speaking of which, I don't know if the Qinglu guy will show mercy. In battle, there is no mercy. The sound came from outside the door, and then, the door opened, and the green in uniform leaned against the door frame, with his arms around his arms, looking into the room. Oh, Baizi looked at Qinglu with a playful expression, then shrugged for a moment. So, why did you come to me on purpose? Next. A triangular object was waved over by Qinglu. Snapped tilde. Baizi raised his hand and caught the object that had hit his heart. It was hard in texture and light green in color. It seems a bit like the scales of the elf. Item: Bangira's plate armor. Bangira's plate armor. The light in his eyes disappeared temporarily, and Baizi looked up at Qinglu again and asked, "What do you mean?" This is a part of the plate armor that Bangira, the leader of our Damu family's deeded tribe, has taken off. With this item, you can go to the Spar Valley where Bangila gathers in the Azure Mountains to pick and take away one. Only by Kira cubs. Quote. Qinglu's tone was indifferent, but after Baizi heard it, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes. So-called contract ethnic group, as the name suggests, is the elf ethnic group that has signed a contract relationship with humans. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. The elves became stronger with the help of human trainers. After 100 years, the elves returned to the clan to live in seclusion, enhancing the strength and heritage of the clan. And human beings, also backed by the elves, can give their descendants an exclusive territory to obtain high-quality partners. Of course. To form such a contract, both the elves and the trainers themselves must be strong and excellent. Otherwise, it is impossible to promote a virtuous circle, so how can we form this mutually beneficial contract? One of the more famous ones is the contract between the Yulong clan and the Fast Dragon clan in the Dragon Cave, one of the largest gathering places of dragon elves in the world. Both parties benefit each other. For hundreds of years, the Yulong family has relied on the Kuailong, a dragon-type quasi-god clan, to stand at the top of the aristocratic family. Almost every member of the family has a Kuailong. The invisible strength is so strong that even the alliance has to give 3 points. The Rockets, who are invincible in both Guandu and Scruples, are also almost extinct in Yanxia City, the hometown of the Yulong family. Same. Over the past few hundred years, relying on the high-end combat power of the Yulong clan to rush forward, they could only be regarded as the powerful Fast Dragon clan, but now they have almost become the royal clan in the entire Dragon Cave. In other words, Dragon Cave. In this world's largest gathering place of dragon-type elves, there are more than one kind of quasi-god dragon-type paradise. Now, it can almost be said that it has completely become the territory of the Fast Dragon family. However, there are very few trainers who can achieve the contracted race, and the contract is from the family of quasi-gods. On the bright side, there is only the family of the Yulong family. Unexpectedly, the Big Wood family is also a family that signed a contract with the quasi-god family. Or the famous desert tyrant, Bangira. The contracted race and humans achieve each other, and the high-quality elf cubs within their race are far better than the wild races under the same conditions. A future desert tyrant cub. To be honest, Baizi was a little moved. However, the reason. Baizi shook the light green plate armor on his hand and looked at the green. I really want a Yukira, but he really wants a chance to go to the Silver Mountains to search for a circle. Speaking of which, Bangira, who was almost a loser with zero aura before, was quite good. If it weren't for Baizi's preference for the feeling of cultivation, he would probably have thought of subduing. This is not a gift. Qinglu glanced at the plate armor in Baizi's hand, and the gentle smile on the corner of his mouth was fleeting. Thanks to the interactive evolution method you provided, the flying mantis guy can keep up with me. Today's footsteps. Anyway, you can take this as my uncle's thanks. He waved his hand. Qinglu got up immediately and walked towards the depths of the corridor. Please go to the venue to prepare for OGI Qinglu and OGI Shiger. The sweet female voice announcement also happened to sound at this time. Baizi raised his eyebrows, grinded the pieces of the Bangira plate armor on his hands twice, put them away, and also got up and walked towards the direction of the auditorium. Next. Silver Mountain League Conference. This game, 32/16. Fourth game. Coming soon. P.S. EDG, Champion. 359. Even if you know that the mountains are still standing, you should jump forward. The last Jedi outbreak of Shaoji and the absolute tactical crushing of Baizi have opened our eyes. Although the game couldn't be played for 3 rounds due to Shaoji's sudden coma. But without a doubt it was a pretty good match. In the venue, the commentator Caesar, who was standing on the self-exploding Magneto, sat down to summarize the stages. Suddenly, there was thunderous applause. Subsequently, he changed the subject. Then next, it's the fourth game. This is another matchup that can only be expected. The 2 contestants are still from Junshin Town, and they are the grandsons of Dr. Damu, the scientific leader of our Guandu area tilde. Speaking of which, there are quite a few late-stage talents in Junshinjun this year. All the rookie trainers who signed up for the competition made it to the top 32 of this competition. Next, the second top 16 contestant of Junshin Town will be born. As for who is it? Then let's take a look. Right now, on the field. After the passionate speech was over, the commentator Caesar performed his duties as a referee again. There are players from both sides, please enter. Wow, underscore. In the cheers, 2 similar figures walked out of the corridors on the left and right, and stood opposite each other on the podium. As twins, the 2 brothers look very similar. But as long as they are familiar with them, it is impossible to mistake these 2. On the left is Cyan as the older brother. Black light-brimmed hoodie, tan canvas slacks, the forehead is always slightly raised several inches, and the arrogance between the eyebrows hangs on his face almost all the time. That strong sense of presence, even the very calm and capable Xiao Mao now. In front of him. Still like a supporting role that is hidden by the highlights and difficult to be noticed, there is no sense of existence. Sure enough, it's the same again. On the right side, on the podium, Xiao Mao looked down, clenching his hands tightly, and the tingling sensation in his palms kept coming. From childhood to adulthood, he almost thought he was used to it, that he was accustomed to this kind of neglect, always seems to be just an irrelevant addition, the feeling of living in the shadows of grandpa, father, and even brother under the dazzling green light. Another grandson of Dr. Oki. The youngest son of Chairman Zan Chun. Young Master Qinglu's younger brother. Just like. He's a guy who doesn't have his own name at all. Dream. That thing, originally in Xiao Mao's heart, did not exist at all. How about the elf scholar? Can he be compared to the grandfather of the world's top-ranked leader? Can't. How about inheriting the family business that was abandoned by Qinglu? Can the tentacles already spread across several regions go a step further? Nor can. As for being a trainer. As the brother of a compatriot, he is too aware of his brother's talent. That can be called monster level, especially after the departure. It seems that the general cultivation ability has changed again. It is not a mortal, and can reach and catch up. Therefore, although he knew what was right in his heart, he was still cynical, and he was even more of a luxury car beauty when he went out. He wrapped himself in a defiant, performance to cover his vulnerability and sensitivity. Feeling inside. Until the reunion of Lamperchi and Bai Zhejuan. More restrained. But there is also a sense of presence that cannot be ignored. It's completely different from the strong sense of self-distraction of Qinglu. It is a kind of belief in will that is not confused at all, even if you know that the mountain is still up, but still firmly believes that you can jump and finally reach the end. Sentence, I recognize the gap, are you not ready to fight again? Is like a sharp arrow that penetrates the bottom of my heart. Battles are indeed the best way for trainers to get to know and communicate with each other. Xiao Mao. In the 3-game losing streak that night, we ushered in a transformation. Brother Baizi. While talking about the name, Xiao Mao raised his head as if he was aware of it. On the opposite high platform, the young Yingting with silver and white hair had a gentle gaze, and immediately caught his gaze, slightly smiled and nodded. Hey Tilda. Xiao Mao suddenly wiped his nose childishly, looked back, and calmed down inexplicably. Brother Baizi, he is really watching me. Then. Being cowardly before fighting is not the style of this young master. Xiao Mao's eyes shone like emeralds, like an inexplicable power blessing his body and mind. ... Ask for flowers. The strong will to leap forward even if you know the mountain is upside down, made many people present couldn't help but focus their attention on this somewhat neglected similar figure. Xiao Mao has no time to pay attention to these, at this moment, his concentration is unprecedentedly concentrated. The moment the referee officially announced the start of the game, he threw the luxurious ball in his hand for the first time. Come on, my vanguard general. Kami Tilda. As if feeling the excitement of the owner, the light flickered, and a huge bipedal turtle with a height of about 2.5 meters slammed to the ground and let out a bright and heavy roar. The overall dark blue, the front part of the brown tortoise shell on the back, and the 2 white gun barrels stick out from the shoulders. This is the final evolutionary form of the 3 families of the water system in the Kanto region. Water arrow turtle. Race, water arrow turtle overlord form. Attribute, water. Feature, torrent. Level, Quasi-Tianwang Elementary, level 50, 5/100. Potential, King of Heaven. 1. Prop, mysterious water drops. Status, perfect. Introduction. With the help of the ultimate aura unique to the Alola region, the initial overlord form has been completed, and it is a fortress-type fortress that focuses on defense. As the first battle a dwarf turtle, Baizi in the stands raised his eyebrows slightly, with a surprised expression. Also, he has already broken through to the realm of quasi-celestial kings. And the overlord form. Speaking of which, Xiao Mao's cousin, Dao Mucheng, is also an elf doctor from the Alola area. I think he also has a share of the credit for the current overlord of the water arrow turtle, right? It's interesting. Although he still didn't think that Xiao Mao could defeat Qinglu, Baizi was suddenly looking forward to it. Especially after seeing the first battle spirit released by Qinglu. This expectation. Even more intense. PS1, Chapter 127, Rewinding the line tilde begging. 360, Super Battery. Suppress. Green tactical intentions. The whole body is blue, and it looks like a duck. It has slender limbs and stands as an adult. There are white footpaths on its feet, and a rather conspicuous red gem on its forehead. Obviously, this is a Gotha duck. Legend has it that the Gotha duck has the ability to move freely in rough seas, and its swimming speed is the fastest among the known elves. However, this time the 2 sides drew a wilderness sight. Dead wood, thorn bushes and uneven steps are the characteristics of this environment simulation site. Obviously, this is not suitable for swimming. And secondly, it is the strength of this elf. Even if Baizi's power is not used to investigate, with Baizi's current eyesight, it is easy to see that the level of this Gotha duck is at most similar to that of Xiao Mao's water arrow turtle. Not to mention, on stage, this Gotha duck had more than 280 small movements constantly. You must know that green is not red, and what he advocates is a militarized management system. If an elf is under his hand for more than a week, it is bound to be obedient and completely turn into a turquoise shape. And the Gotha duck in front of him is obviously a guy who has not been conquered by Qinglu recently, or who has hardly received any training from him. Open black lens bracket race. Gotha duck close black lens bracket. Attribute, water. Characteristic, moisture. Level, Quasi-Tianwang Elementary, level 51, 41/100. Potential, Quasi-King. Opening square bracket ellipsis closing square bracket. Status, General. Introduction. He used to be one of the former leaders of the ethnic group living in the back mountain of the Damu Research Institute. He has entered old age and has rich experience, but his physique has deteriorated seriously. Sure enough. A hint of understanding flashed in Bai Zi's eyes, and then a smile rose. What else would you say? You won't be merciful. After a long time, you're not going to release water, but directly into the sea. This is naturally a joke. Maybe Qinglu didn't want to hit his younger brother too much, or maybe he wanted to try Xiaomao's true skills by lowering the level of the elves. Therefore, this Gotha duck was specially chosen. But pull the horizontal line down and pull the horizontal line. Want to let Qinglu release water on the battlefield. Bai Zi shook his head. With the pride of that guy Qinglu, it's impossible to do such a thing. At this moment, the wilderness field. After a brief period of mutual support, seeing that Qinglu was slow to make a move, Xiaomao immediately took the lead and decided to try it out. Water arrow turtle, the waves of water. As a civil war of the pure water system, the power of the water system has a bonus of 1.5 times, but the damage to the opponent is also reduced by half. Converting it, it will probably reduce the damage of the skill by 25%. Other words, the wave of water with a power of 60 has only a power of 45 for Gotha duck. But sprite battle is not a rigid turn-based game. Using the water-based trick to hit the same type will indeed reduce the power, but the pair of jets on the carapace of the water arrow turtle family has the ability to shoot out ordinary water, making it penetrate several centimeters of thick iron. The power of the board. And the accuracy is also quite excellent, can be described as a natural artillery hand. Not to mention, Xiaomao himself also specially carried out intensive training on this, so that the water arrow turtle has made great progress in firing rate, power and even accuracy. Kami tilde. Following Xiaomao's order, the water arrow turtle suddenly stepped over and leaned over, his eyes fixed on the direction of the Gotha duck like a radar, and the barrels on his shoulders extended. Next second, 2 spiral water jets rushed out from the launch port of the gun barrel, hitting the Gotha duck's foothold and above the top door. Water fluctuations x2. Do you want to force me to make Gotha duck to the left and right to avoid? Shut up your feet and use your mind to avoid moving forward. Qinglu saw Xiaomao's plan at a glance, and immediately ordered in a deep voice. Ga tilde. Although he needed more complicated instructions due to his unfamiliarity, this Gotha duck was indeed experienced enough. Hearing the sound, he quickly put away the pause that he wanted to move left subconsciously and lunged forward. Under the blessing of the power of thought, it was impossible to let go, and it passed through the mouth-shaped water formation formed by 2 spiral water columns on the left and right in midair. With a light leap, he landed on a raised pile of rubble. Boom! 2 roars in tandem exploded behind the Gotha duck. If it really moved to the left or right just now, I'm afraid it will inevitably be hit by one of the cannons. Young turtles don't talk about martial arts. JPG. Gotha duck subconsciously wiped off the cold sweat. With its body, it really wants to be shot, not to mention losing the ability to fight. I'm afraid it will take a long time. If this were to be supplemented with a few shots. Focus. Front left, the tail of the stream is advancing. Ga tilde. Gotha duck dared to ignore Qinglu's instructions, and without even thinking, he jumped up, curled up in a ball in midair, and swirled up toward the left front with a euro-like stream of water. Snapped. Whoosh whoosh. Just like slapping the cow leather, the water splashed in all directions, and 3 spiral water columns in the shape of finished glyphs brushed past. With the strength of the water's tail, Duck smashed open, and once again successfully escaped from the continuous 4-way water fluctuations that formed the water array. But then, there was another straight water cannon with a diameter of almost mish, carrying terrifying potential energy, and once again, pressed against the Duck. For a while, Godard Duck is completely powerless to fight back. Under the indiscriminate bombardment of the various water-based skills such as the rapid or urgent fluctuation of various guns, the water arrow turtles that have turned into fortresses are exhausted. Before long, the entire wilderness field was plowed upside down. Above the venue, there are large and small potholes and waterways, and it seems that the venue will be turned into a country. Have to say, the water arrow turtle in the Overlord form is indeed full of energy and stamina. Even if he has been attacking as the main attacker until now, the water arrow turtle is only slightly out of breath. And compared to it, the old 4.3-year-old Duck was already sweating profusely. His chest was up and down like a blower, and even his hands and feet were shaking slightly. In such a scene, it is obvious that the water arrow turtle has the upper hand in this endurance showdown. But the green is still calm. And on the stand, after Baizi carefully looked at the shape of the field and the positions of the 2 elves, he suddenly sighed. If Xiaomao hasn't noticed Qinglu's final tactical intention, I'm afraid that he will lose.